Welcome to CineMunn podcast. We are back again with our friend Heath Houseman. He was excited from the last show, which I think actually kind of was probably the last show I recorded. Was our one with you? I really haven't done a lot of recording in a while, so that was the last one. I've been doing more writing than anything, so which has been nice for me. It's been a new world for me because I don't think of myself as a writer, and yet I think I articulate most of my good thoughts in writing as opposed to speaking. I have no problem speaking. Because I don't have an audience. You know, I don't see these people. I can say whatever the hell I want. Their faces at me or whatnot, they don't count, so I'm good. But yeah, the last show I think I had fully finished and recorded was yours.
Uh-huh.
And Sawyer was telling me that you kind of itching to come back and do it again.
Yeah.
I don't know, you had some thoughts or whatnot, or ideas or whatever popped into your head made you want to come back. And I was like, holy shit, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
We're going to do Houseman Party 2.
Party 2?
Party 2.
Part 2.
Part 2, the one where the cops get called. No, yeah, that one.
Let's not talk about that yet.
Oh, shit.
Uh-oh.
What did you do wrong? So
Nothing yet.
yeah, okay, that's what they all say. Nothing yet.
So what are you writing?
I have been, well, within the last almost year now. No, it's been a year. I have a friend of mine who's a film critic. I met her at Comic-Con about 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. And she's a local critic. She lives in Imperial Beach. And she told me that she's going to be possibly leaving the city for family and whatnot. And that she kind of wanted me to take her spot here in the city doing the reviews and such that she does, going to the films and screenings and whatnot. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. I'm terrified as hell because she's been on the podcast. She was one of the first people I interviewed. And we've had her on. She's a lot of fun, really loose, kind of over the industry as well.
Yeah.
But still, you gotta pay the bills somehow. So
Yes.
so getting that, she'd take me with her mainly to see like the big kind of tentpole films that she's not too big a fan of, and just write my opinion because I am a fan. I'm that comic book kid and that little nerdy guy who had a fucking Star Wars toy in his backpack in high school and elementary school. So I said, all right. So I started writing treatments, just like overall summary of the film, what I thought of it, and how I thought it compared to the comic books or the characters that I know. And so I started doing that. She said, okay, yeah, and go do this one. Okay, then come with her. Are you available? Yeah, I'll do this one. And so I started getting into it. I was like, yeah, I really kind of enjoy this. And then I get stuff on my old Facebook feed and going back on my Facebook page where I've been doing this for a while, individually. Like I wrote about Star Trek and what it meant to me because I watched it with my dad as a kid, or when the last Jurassic World came out, because that was where I fell in love with movies. So it was like everything that film meant to me when it came out. I sit in the theater 10 minutes in tears just because this is everything I dreamed it would be and more. Yeah. So I started getting that. And then I kind of listened to other podcasts, listened to other writers who have their ideas. Yeah. I was like, you know what? It's more than just me writing a review. It's me taking what we're doing here and just doing it myself. Those individual shows I would do by myself, I can just write that shit out. And articulate and say whatever I want in it in the same way and reach my same audience, if not more people. More people, I think, read that than they do listen to this show. So it's like, it's another way of doing it, and it's another way for me to actually refine what I'm saying. I mean, obviously, when we talk, we can think about our thoughts and our words and our vocabulary, and it doesn't always come out the way we want it to in our inflection. Sure. So I can obviously go back and punctuate, but my punctuation is not like that. I get some friends who look at my reviews and my stuff and say, proofread. Yeah, but I think for me in that moment, I don't know how it is for you. When it's writing, it's got to come out. Whether whether the grammar and such is right or punctuation, it just has to come out. It's got to get out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
That's what I do when I write music.
Yeah.
It's like if I'm on the ball, I'm not even going to worry about the metronome. I'm not going to worry about my timing.
Yeah.
If I'm hitting the right chords or anything, I'm going to play something and I'll go back and edit it and fine tune.
Yeah, you fix it in
post.
Yeah,
you do. But I let the creative, when I have those creative moments, I let those flow as long as I can until I decide it's time to go back, take a look at this. What did I do? Yeah. I really like that. This not so good. Let's get rid of it. Yeah. Maybe we could use this later. Things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when I write a script, I'll be in the moment and I'll be stuff will be coming out and you just move through the pages, and then I try not to worry about it too much. I go back usually and like say the next day I'll go back a little bit and I'll read some, but I won't I don't want to go too far back because I'll start editing.
Mm-hmm.
So
the switch gets flipped, you go into editor mode.
Right, you
And
do.
it's
You just go right into it.
And you just start restructuring everything. You lose what your main idea was.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I try not to do that. I'll go back and fix a little bit, but I won't go all the way back to where I started, the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it all works and if everything clicks, you just go boom, and you're like da 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 da, and you start rolling it out.
Yeah.
And the trick is, or the goal is, to get to the end. Once you're at the end, at least for me, I go, I've accomplished what I've set out to do, and then I go back, and that's when you start fixing stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's important to finish it.
Yeah.
Because you can edit, into oblivion.
Finish it in the sense that like you have A through B.
Mm-hmm.
Now you just get to go through and refine the details.
First act, second act, third act.
But it starts this way. In the middle, these things happen.
Right.
Something crazy goes on here, and at the end, it resolves this way.
Just gotta cap off at the end.
Yeah, it's good to finish it.
Yeah.
Just to have it done.
Yeah.
And then you can go back and edit, pull stuff out. You can say, this doesn't work, or we need something here. And that's basically how I write. So I try not to leave projects unfinished.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, and I get to that when I do write myself. It's like I need to get it done, whether it's good or not.
Right.
It needs to get done.
Get it done.
Just finish it. Just finish the work. Then proofread it if you need to, if you find the time to, or if you remember to. For me, half the time I just don't remember to do it. And it's like, okay, it's got to be done by this time. I gotta make sure it's done. It's at least somewhat articulated, and I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to summarize a film, critique on the cast, and my overall thoughts on it, and then those are my 3 paragraphs, maybe 4, and that's it. Like I gotta hit those 3 or 4 paragraphs, and I'm done. And then I send it off, and then after I send it off, I look and go, yeah, I could have done this here, or this thought pops in now that fuck, I should have said this here. It's like, but I prefer having that moment of regret afterwards, and like, if I want to publish it myself on my own stuff, then I can go back and critique it my own way. But it's getting it done and that feeling of, I did it. Yeah. And it's one less stress, but it's also one more way of me flexing the muscle of like, okay, this is done, now I can't wait to do the next one. Right. And so that's now I've given myself the task of not just writing reviews, but just writing about pop culture, about fandom, about news and things that are popping up now, and just trying to jump on that wagon. And it's unfortunate because I'm not used to that. I don't know how social media is for either of you guys. I'm not used to it. Right. I use it, not well, but I'm trying to understand how people use it so well to get themselves out there. It's not the world it was, in the sense of like how people find jobs, make work for themselves. It's not like the connections that you make at a job. You got someone's phone number in your Rolodex, or maybe not keeping your phone, but everyone's on Twitter and Snapchat and this and this bullshit and that bullshit. And you're like, how the fuck did no one talks? Like, I saw it, cool. Why didn't you say anything?
Right.
Tell me.
Yeah. No. It's. I think we discussed this last time.
I think we did.
But I'm really bad at marketing myself. It's like I need a manager. I need somebody to do that for me.
Yeah.
Let me do the writing. Let me, write reviews or whatever, get it out there. But I need somebody else to do all that. But in today's world,
Sawyer, come here.
You need to be able to do exactly what you're talking about. You need to be able to know your social media. And I hate social media. I can't stand it. Yeah. I really can't.
I see the advantage of it, and I see the disadvantage of it as well.
I've got a love-hate relationship.
It's
a great way to
Mine's
tell
more
people.
hate, but there is love.
A little bit of love.
Well, it's love-hate because I use it to follow family in foreign countries. Yeah. We got family all over the world.
No, in that sense, it's fantastic.
And I love that.
I got family across the country, so
And then I use it for business. I promote shows. I promote what I'm doing. Like, hey, here's my friends.
I see you on Instagram. I see you on Facebook. Hey, we got shows tonight here.
But that's pretty much what I use it for.
Yeah.
I don't want to muddy the waters with like a business personal where I'm constantly posting personal things. But every now and then it's like a poster like come out to my show. I don't feel like people would follow me in that sense. Where it's like family, pub, family. Oh, I have a gig. Everyone come to my gig. I feel like that gets lost in the feed.
Yeah.
I suppose they're. Go ahead.
No, you already started.
I was just going to say, I suppose they're, on some of the, like Facebook, you can create your own page.
Yeah.
Your.
Yeah, and it's handy. I love having that for
Yeah.
the different groups that I play with.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then I can say, hey, if you guys like this band, if you've seen us, like us on Facebook, we have a page.
Right.
And you can keep up to date with us. And that's what I like about social media from a business perspective.
Do you think it really works, though? I mean, do you think, like, posting on Facebook, I mean, other than reaching your family and your close circle of friends, do you really think it does anything? I mean, does it really promote you? Does it really get you?
Not without paying for it. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you're using. I see a lot more people have kind of stepped away from Facebook. Like, they still use it as, like, if I don't feel like paying for my own webpage, I have Facebook. But I think people now have gotten more into that. I can fit all this into 140 characters on Twitter or less, or I can show you what I'm doing really quickly on Instagram or on Snapchat, and that's where I see a lot of it's going now. It is that generation of, we're so used to quick edits in film that it's that generation of 6 seconds or less. We had the Vine videos for a while before that died off. Where it was like that, 1 second video, 6 second video, and then it's something new.
Right? Don't we have like 6 second dating now or something where you go to a place and,
do they?
And you have 30-second dates?
That sounds great. I'd do that.
That sounds weird.
It's
that
like you sit down,
very.
You say, hi, I've got 2 minutes to introduce myself.
I would say something different to every single person.
Right.
Who are you? I'm a plumber. Who are you? I'm a mechanic. Who are you? I'm a politician.
Yeah,
You've
you're
never
poor.
heard of me. I'm not
Who are you?
racist.
I'm
30
poor.
seconds left to make an impression.
Make an impression, see what happens. I think also part of it for me with social media is I'm not like that kind of preening self-promoter, like that kind of Billy Flynn type character who's, me, look at me. I'm more of like, here's what I did. If you want to read it, cool. I'm just going to leave it here for you.
Right.
And then I'll leave the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
That's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
Well, you just use it as a platform.
Yeah.
But then,
Sure.
like, why wouldn't you have your own website at that point that
Yeah.
you can control all the feed and all the things like that?
Yeah. I do have a website, but
Yes, you do.
It's a very important step.
HeathHouseman.com.
yes.
We're going to self-promote him since he won't do it himself.
yes, thank you. But I put my work out there on the website, and when I contact agents or I send query letters out, I send them to the website where they can actually read some of my work, and hopefully it'll go further. But above and beyond that, I mean, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
Well, it's like real estate in this digital age. If you don't have your website,
You have to have it.
Yeah.
You have to have it.
Because I've had that a lot.
Leagues
I've had that a lot.
behind the competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a lot these last 2 years at Comic-Con. It was like, I tell them, hey, I do a podcast. And I say, okay, you got, what's your website? How do I contact you? And I, kind of go dumb in the face. It's like, well, I'm on YouTube. I'll tell you what the channel is, and you can find me here on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'll be, doing this and that for the weekend, where we're going, this and that. But I mean, other than that, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Right. When I went to the Austin Film Festival last year,
Yeah.
what I realized was I set up my my website previously, so I could, send people to the site when I was at the festival. But I had an old phone. I had like a iPhone 3 or something.
Oh, let's not talk about that.
And I realized that holy cow,
8-year-old iPhone.
that I needed newer technology to keep up with what everybody was doing and what they were talking about, because everybody was just tapping their phones and doing all this stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, let me scan that barcode. Now we're friends.
Yeah, I see. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
yeah, and I realized, because I don't like. I have a love-hate relationship with cell phones, with
Same.
the whole thing, because we
really
talked about
cool
this
tech-
last
yeah,
time.
yeah,
The
really
circle,
cool
right?
technology.
Yeah.
It's the
Really
circle.
bothers me.
Yeah.
It's the circle. The circle is true.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic film, because that is the future, and the ending of that film is where we're all heading, and so I don't like that. I don't like losing my privacy. I don't like the fact that they know where we are and they can turn on the microphone whenever they want and all that.
Yeah, that bothers me.
and it bothers me that I need this thing so much. But at the AFF, I realized I really do need that stupid phone.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be able to make connections without it. I'm not going to be able. I got to be right there.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah, that's the hard. Yeah, it is that love hate. It's like. It's like I'm a fairly private person. I don't really post pictures of myself on my Instagram feed. It's everything else I'm doing, and the majority of it's related to the podcast. So it's like, yeah, oh, who are you? What do you look like? Don't worry about it. Just listen. Shut up. We don't need to see anything. Just listen. That's all that matters. Yeah, it's weird, and it is that kind of like
it's weird.
It's that cumbersome thing in your pocket now. And it gets in the way when you sit too long, but at the same time, it's become that kind of time filler as well. Like if you're waiting in line, if you're, at the bus, or even like between gigs, it's an automatic reaction you see. Like I'll literally sit there sometimes. I'll have mine out and I'll keep it face down because I don't want every fucking notification popping up and lighting up and killing my battery. So I have it face down, but I'll look around and see. Immediately, I'll go walk around the convention and just see people walk around, sitting together, couples, married, old, young. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
I was hanging out with my cousin in downtown San Diego a couple nights ago, and he's got this little porch that's street level, and he calls it the fishbowl. He just watches all the little human fishies walk past his window in their fishbowl, and easily 98% of everyone that walks past is actively using their cell phone.
Yep.
And it just blows me away. We're in a beautiful place. It's gorgeous outside.
Yeah.
We're wearing like Hawaiian shirts, shorts, and flip flops.
Yeah.
Having a beer on the porch, and everyone is just buried and distracted.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
That's part of my hate relationship.
It's being able to almost literally hold the world in your hand, in your pocket.
It's the library of
you
Alexandria.
have that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have that. Oh, you have all that access to all that knowledge.
We want to find out about the another planet.
Yeah.
We know so much about it. It takes 3 to 10 seconds to Google it.
To find it.
And you get to the end of the universe. Like,
no, you can get the
we'll
information so quickly now.
Yeah.
It's just nuts.
Well, the things we use it for is just
It's
minute.
really
we use it for the most minute shit.
Yeah, mundane.
Yeah.
Well, this iPhone over here has more technology in it than what they used to get the men to land on the moon.
Yeah.
Which is the anniversary today.
Yeah.
Like
That's terrifying. That's terrifying.
Yesterday,
yesterday, today.
Was it? No, it was yesterday. Yeah.
Landing on the moon.
Landing on the moon.
landing
Yeah.
on the moon.
Crazy. What was it? 50 years ago?
Next year is 50 years. Yeah. It's 49.
49.
49
Which is
years.
totally insane.
And we have more tech in our pocket.
Right? It's a scary thought.
And we abuse it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We abuse it. So
It's
many
weird,
ways.
and you just see it everywhere, and it's scary. And it's funny. Yesterday, before a panel I was wanting to see, I saw another one, and it was just a bunch of individual short films, animated films, and one of them was about kind of how we've grown in war, in constant conflict. From literally, like, the film starts with two little cavemen fighting over who's closer to the fire.
Right.
And it goes all the way through history, all the way to now. And it's like, literally, it's like only two characters back and forth through, like, monarchy, through the church ruling, then through monarchy coming back in, through Revolutionary War, Civil War, Gulf War, Vietnam, Korea. Like, it shows you all this stuff just individually, like shit, you're right. And it's the same shit, just on a larger scale.
Yeah.
And one of the videos they showed was about phones. And literally every character buried in and just walk into something just missed them, or they fell into something and then died, and the other person picked up the phone, and it was just like, fuck, it's right.
Yeah.
It's so true. I'm going to walk out this door in 20 minutes, and I'm going to see it.
You know,
I'd like to see that.
when I have lunch at work, I have a portable chair, like a camp chair or whatever. Yeah. And I don't eat lunch in the room where you're supposed to eat lunch. I go outside because I want to get out, and there's this little ravine nearby, and so I grab my chair and I grab my lunch, and I go and I park my chair on the edge of the ravine, and I sit there and have my lunch, and I look at this it's a pretty view. I mean, the ocean would be better. If I was looking at the ocean, that would be great.
Yeah.
But it's the best that I can do where I am. And it's green, and there's lots of wildlife. And so I sit there for 30 minutes, and I eat my sandwich. And
Better than being under fluorescent lights.
way better than being under fluorescent lights like Joe versus the Volcano.
That's a great film. That's probably one of his most forgotten films.
Yeah,
that's like one of my dad's
I love
favorite
that movie.
movies, Joe vs. Volcano.
I love that film.
It's also the one that everyone fell in love with.
Yeah, and maybe Meg Ryan too.
Yeah, Meg Ryan. Yeah.
Well, I mean, everybody was in love with her back then, anyway.
Yeah, but that was the beginning of their whole thing. Joe vs. Volcano. Then they had Sleepless in Seattle.
Right,
Then they had You Got Mail, which was.
Yeah. That
But Joe vs. Volcano was like the beginning was he was still funny. He was still like the comedic guy. He was the comedic
he still had that
actor
crazy Tom Hanks energy.
Yeah. Off of Bosom Buddies and
yes.
Yeah. He was the funny guy.
I love that bit. I love the whole opening sequence
Yeah.
where he's looking at the fluorescence and they're going,
I love that he brings his own lamp.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you doing? Get that off your desk. The light's better for me than the bulb.
I love that.
God.
I'm a flipper to gibbet. Anyway,
I haven't watched it in a
no. There's some great lines in that movie. But back to my ravine story. The reason I brought it up is because I've had people at work ask me what I'm doing, and I say, well, I'm sitting out at the ravine having my lunch, and they ask me, they go,
Going outside, damn it.
they say, well, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean, what am I doing?
Huh.
And I remember this one conversation I had with this fellow, and he said he just didn't understand, like, I didn't have my cell phone out when I was sitting at the ravine, I was just eating my sandwich looking at the ravine. And he said, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I look at the pretty ravine, there's cool wildlife, I think about things, I think about
thoughts.
scripts, I have thoughts.
Ideas.
And he was kind of, flummoxed. He was, he just was really having a hard time grasping it. But he wasn't the only one. There's been numerous people who just like, I don't understand what you're doing out there. And I think it's a great representation of where we are today as a society.
Yeah.
Because, that is a very simple thing, what I'm doing. And I'm not saying I'm superior in any way. But it seems to me that it's a very simple thing that I'm doing. I'm sitting out there and enjoying nature.
It was just like the lost,
Right?
Yeah.
like the
And people are having a hard time understanding what I'm doing.
the lost art of sitting where you are and being joyful.
Yeah.
It's like, I know what I have to do soon, but I'm here now, and it's nice here.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the moment.
And I don't need to listen to things. I don't need to talk
I
about
can
things.
turn off work, when I go there, I just
Yeah.
turn it off and I go, okay, well,
The
what
sun
script do I
feels
want to
great,
think about?
The
Or
breeze is
whatever.
nice. Yeah.
You find, and even more than that, it's a way of resetting yourself, recalibrating your soul. It's decompression.
Yeah.
It's I'm not inside. There's no loud, noise. There's no buzzing of the fluorescence. There's no people around me talking. There's no machinery going. There's nothing going. I'm simply outside listening to the wind in the grass.
Right.
And that can be, for some people, the reset. Like for me, you sit by the ravine. I love sometimes to go out to the beach and literally just stand in the surf and watch the sunset. Not even for the fact that it's pretty, just because it centers me. It's finding that serenity in everything else, and I can completely feel everything else around me fall away. I might even put on some music for myself, just listen to whatever, and even that might get drowned out in the moment to myself, just because I am enjoying that moment of what it is, and I've found peace.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we forget about. I think we've let ourselves become so exhausted and burdened by every little thing, from bills to having to go to the grocery store, to having to get gas, to I got to be here by this, or I'm not feeling that good, I got to get the mole check, every little thing. And we burden ourselves with we want to get 100 things done in a day. Get 5 things done in a day, just 5, and you will see just how much lighter that load feels.
Yes.
And I've had to learn that.
A call to an action. Just don't do anything.
Yeah.
You don't have
Take a
to.
day and go lay in the fucking grass. Go lay in the grass for 2 hours. Just lay on your back in the
Go roll
grass.
down a hill. Go fly
Go
a kite.
yeah.
Go.
Very
high.
very Mary Poppins. Let's go fly a kite.
Okay, that's a crazy movie, right?
Yeah.
That's a totally insane movie.
It was a trip. It was a trip.
I watched it recently, and I was like, oh my goodness, this movie is out of control.
Out of it, right? It's wild.
It is wild. I mean, there's no plot.
No, there
I
isn't.
mean, they just do what they do,
do
and they
whatever.
break out into song, and their car
For some reason,
flies.
the umbrella talks.
Right? It's like
Sounds like the father.
Everyone floats up to the ceiling.
it did come out of the
Yeah.
'60s, so I know there's a lot of
Early 60s, yeah, so there's a lot of to it, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like we put so much pressure on ourselves now. I don't know if it's is we feel like we're keeping up with the Joneses, or if we just think there's so much to do, and if I don't get it done, then I'm never gonna get it done. So I gotta do it. It's gotta be done now. But this is all gonna get done now, so I gotta do that now too. And then we lose ourselves, and we get ourselves so distracted with what we're doing that nothing gets done.
Right.
Because we're trying to do several things at once instead of just one thing. And I know it sounds like people are, oh, I can multitask. Cool, I can multitask too.
Yeah,
But when I want to make
No,
make something good, even if it comes down to food, or if I want to make something look good, I want that to look good, and then I'll worry about something else.
Right.
Then when the next one comes, I'll worry about that, and then when the next one comes after that, I'll worry about that one because I'll focus on it.
When you write, don't you get lost in it? I mean, I imagine
Well, absolutely.
when you do music, you get lost. Like,
Yeah.
time stops.
Time stops. I don't hear anything else around me
It's so
unless I
relieving to hear other people talk about this.
it's not just me.
so with music, it's like
I don't have to
it's-
see the doctor.
It's the study of vibration over time, and so there are moments like where I'll be playing on stage, or I'll be in the studio, and I will think about a 3-second interval that I'm trying to work with, or something, a little chunk of it that I'm trying to work with. I'll think about that 60 times in a second, and so it feels like time slows down. So I'm actively thinking about 3 seconds, 60 times in 1 second. And I imagine it's like writing. You're writing, and also
You get lost in the world, man. You just get
out, and that's the sensation that brings me back.
I love it. I love going into
It's
the
like
world.
it's freeing. It's also like a weird high,
Yeah.
and like you get so
No,
lost in that,
absolutely
and
true.
eventually when you stop clicking the keyboard, or you stop playing that note, and you step out, and that the loudness of that falls away, and everything else comes back to you,
Everything.
and you're like, where the
Everything
fuck was
comes
I?
crashing
Everything
back,
comes
yeah.
crashing back in again.
Oof.
You're just like,
Yeah.
wow, where
Yeah.
was I for what felt like 5 minutes, and you were gone for an hour.
Yep.
And when
Yeah.
I write, and so,
Happens to me.
You know.
Happens to me every third song at the pub.
that's funny.
I've seen Sawyer.
It's-
I've watched him play, and he disappears.
Yeah,
sometimes. He's
sometimes
gone.
my eyes roll back. And
Yeah.
the
I
art
do
just
the
comes
shark
out.
thing.
But all I imagine is it can happen with
We're
writing.
gonna
It's
need
like
a
a
bigger
3-minute
You-
orgasm
you
through
get
the
on-
whole song.
you get on this. You get on this train and it just keeps rolling, and then like you're
So hell, blow the
looking
whistle.
at the screen, you're looking at your hands. You're just looking in between, but you know what you're writing. It
Yeah.
goes,
Right,
goes.
Yeah.
But when somebody interrupts you, or something interrupts you, when it
I
all
interrupt
comes-
myself more than anything, because then I'll be like, well, no, that's not the word I want, and then it just falls apart. Then the
Right.
train all of a sudden derails, and I got to get it back on the track again.
Right, Hemingway, the way he dealt with that was he actually built in his house in Key West.
Mhm.
He built a second-story room where it was his writing room, but he put it on stilts. And then the only way you could get to it, it was separate from the house, it was in the backyard, is there was a beam, I don't know, 5 inches wide, 6 inches wide maybe? And he had to walk across that beam to get to his writing room. And the reason he did that was because he hated being interrupted when he was writing, when he was in the world, when he was in the moment.
If you have something to say, walk across the beam.
You would have to come
Yeah.
walk across the beam. So
Come into
that
my
was how
world.
he dealt with it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because he needed to be completely isolated, and then he would go into his world and he'd write.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I totally understand that, because when I'm in there,
I love the
I don't want to be
intention of that.
interrupted. I don't want the world the real world coming in and crashing.
That's
I
your
love
moment.
party.
I love
That's the moment, right?
intention.
That's your moment, right
It's
there.
the moment. I'm
That's your
there.
individuality, and that's when you're expressing whatever you need to express: anger, guilt, fear, sadness, joy, whatever the hell is
There's
inside
no
you.
laws, there's
it
no
comes
rules, there's no
out.
society. It's just you getting to do that thing that you
Yeah.
really enjoy.
Yeah.
No filters, no other people. It's cool.
It is. There's so much freedom in it,
Yeah.
you know, and you as a musician must understand that, you know. But as writers, you know, there's that freedom. You go there, and you just and you feel it, you know. I love it. I really enjoy it. I find a lot of peace there. I could be writing about something that's not peaceful, you know. I could be writing about something horrible or whatever, but I love the fact that I'm creating this world, you know, and it's just, it's really satisfying, right?
Yeah. It's completely. It's that. It's getting whatever that burden or that struggle was of it, of that idea that's just digging and digging and bugging you and bugging you and bugging you. It's finally being able to dig that tick out. And that kind of feeling of relief you get, like when you like you get a splinter and you pull that sucker out, and that feeling of relief, it's kind of the same thing. Not to say that it's an annoyance, but it can be an annoyance.
Sure.
Sometimes a thought gets in your head, and it's got to come out, and you don't know how to say it. Right. You can't say it out loud because it's not something either appropriate or it's not going to be articulated right. But it's got to come out somewhere. So when you finally get and the shit thing for me is when it happens at the worst time, because I can be at work having a conversation with someone, and also this great thought pops in my head, is like, fuck, what do I put it down on? It's too loud for me to voice record this shit. And
if you do,
if I do, I look like a weirdo. What the hell are you doing? I'm talking on the phone. I'm writing. What the hell are you writing? Then you gotta explain to them. That makes no sense. Oh, fuck you. That's not the point.
You lose something in the translation.
Yeah. Something gets lost. Because until it makes sense to you, it's not gonna make any sense to anyone else.
You gotta learn to acquire that quick. Give me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then people, if you do it right, people will go, oh, jeez.
If you do it right, they understand. But I don't do it right, so they're like that guy's a prick.
Oh, that's fine. Like, no, I did. It was really important. I can't forget it.
Right? No, it's true. You got to write those down, or you got to record them somehow, so you can go back to them and use them. I've always had this ability within myself to. There's a little voice in my head that always says, whatever I go through, whether it's positive, negative, there's a voice that always says, you know, oh, you can use this. Mm-hmm. And it really comes in handy when you go through tough times.
This is a great experience.
Because it can be a horrible experience, right?
Yeah,
it can be terrible. But there's some part of me knows that, this sucks. This is horrible.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm feeling, whatever it is, it can be grief. And you're feeling just grief-stricken, heartbroken. You can be heartbroken. But there's this little voice that says, hey, okay, this sucks. This is bad. But
remember this,
you can use this as a writer, as a musician. You can somehow channel that into something and create something awesome.
Yeah, remember this feeling. Use it later.
I found that it reminds me. There's a lyric I've heard in a song. It was somebody's broken heart becomes your favorite song. I think it's a simple. Right. It's a simple thing, and it's a line that gets really passed over. I think, but it's a thought even that people forget about. Like when you listen to a lot of music, even some of the songs you guys play, like you listen to some of the words and like, if someone's really deep and sad, you're just like, fuck, this person's dying, but I'm rocking out at the same time.
Right.
But whatever you went through, that person went through in the moment of writing those words and putting it to music, that was their way of getting over it or getting through it. Because other than that, it was just going to consume them and destroy them. Yeah. And you see that. I guess kind of see it as a segue in a topic into we've come to that society with a lot of suicide, a lot of depression. Oh yeah. Like we've lost Anthony Bourdain. We had Kate Spade. We had Chester from Linkin Park.
Chester from Linkin Park.
Yeah. And it's like it's just this constant flow of people who for some reason or another just feel the need that it's too much. Mm-hmm. And we individually, my mom talked to me about it because she's a therapist. And she deals with people, of all kinds of emotional range, from just depression to marital issues to have committed crimes. Right. So, and it's like what happened with these people that they had everything in the world? I said, yeah, you can have everything in the world, but if you're not happy with it, if you can't find that satisfaction in what you're doing, you're not happy. And like for me, I can bring it to myself where some days I just look at my life and go, what the fuck am I doing with myself? I work in a restaurant. I've been doing this 17 years. I'm good at it. It doesn't bring me joy. But then doing this here with you guys, doing writing, going to Comic-Con and being able to pull stories out of people, that's what gives me joy and that's what drives.
It gives you meaning and
that's
purpose.
what gives meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
And it's doing what you have to do so you can do what you want to do.
Right. You're not defined by your job.
Yeah.
Unless it's the job that you love.
Yeah.
You know, right. If you're writing and you're making a living off of that, and you're making movies, or your music is successful, and you have a successful career as a musician, well, that's awesome, right? But lots of people don't get that.
They don't get that. But I think part of it is
so much work.
It's part of it is the work. It's the expectation. We expect to one day.
I paid for practice time, and I practice hours.
You lose hours of your life practicing, but you practice.
But you're not.
You spend it.
Yeah.
There you go. You spend hours of your life.
I love it.
See? Okay, and that's the difference there.
I used to be really into sailing, tall ships and things like that, and one of my favorite genres to read is captain's logs and captain's travel stories and
Captain's
things like
log.
that.
Yeah, he says that. I hear Shatner pops right in my head when he says it.
There's something in the wing.
Captain's log.
Sorry.
Bones.
Going into Shatner mode.
Ah, shit.
There's a great book called Sailing to the Reefs, and this captain, he in the first chapter he wrecks his boat in the Indian Ocean and ends up on Mauritius, which is a beautiful island in the middle of the ocean. They've got like this underwater waterfall, like channel. They got this drop off, and you can see the water flowing down.
Oh,
It's
weird.
beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And he got stranded there, so he took 2 years to build a boat that was almost identical to his old one, and then he managed to sail it 3/4 of the way around the world before wrecking it somewhere else.
Wow, what an adventure.
Wow. But
Jeez.
he'd run out of money.
Gotta respect that.
Like, out on the water, it's fine. He's got stories, he can take care of himself. But when he comes into port, he's out of cash, he's out of food, he's out of clean
It's
water.
nothing.
So the way that he and his buddies described it is they prostitute themselves to society for a short time, and then they get back out into the world they know where they're free.
Right.
And that's
isn't
that's
that
inspiring to me.
Isn't that kind of what we want
Absolutely.
to do? I mean,
it's our ocean.
Right, we want to get onto the ocean.
Yeah.
We
So
want to be on the ocean all the time.
We have to go to port so you can
We
go
have to
back
go to
on the
port.
on the ocean.
To get back to
To
the
get
ocean.
back to the ocean.
I want to get to the point where I don't have to go back to port. Right? I want to stay on the ocean.
Or you want to make your trips longer. You want to come back to port for a short time, and then get back out there.
Do what I have to, and then so how do you do that?
It's tough. I have a day job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people forget. I mean, especially nowadays with how, again, with social media is, and you see these kind of instant fame things.
Sure. Right.
No one wants to really do the work anymore, or the work is. We found a way to bypass a lot of the heavy lifting of it to find those 15 minutes.
Right.
And I think that's getting lost on society, and I think eventually we'll just be lost to where we won't find satisfaction in the work. We find satisfaction at the finish line instead of the race.
Yeah, no. I think I understand what you're getting at. That in work, there is validity. There is satisfaction. I mean, to do your job, whatever that job is, you do it well. You work hard, and
you feel good about it.
You feel good about it, right?
Yeah.
And that is also worthwhile. That is also rewarding. So when you go back to port, if you have that attitude, right?
Yeah.
You can go back to port, do what you need to do, be proud of what you do, and then get back out into the ocean, which is where we all want to be.
Yeah.
All the time.
You want to be out sailing our boats on the oceans?
Crashing in a pretty island.
Yes.
The Bahamas. You reckon the Bahamas? The second time.
That was the second time.
Yeah. Which I don't think is too shabby.
No.
I could stay there for a while, I think.
Well, how many of us? I mean, how many people, make choices like that, and where they literally go out into the ocean and have this adventurous life, and I was talking with your brother the other day about he was talking about how we need to sometimes people need to put all the port aside and just go do something. Go roll the dice. Take that
risk.
chance. Take the risk.
Be spontaneous. You'll be so surprised.
Who knows where it could lead, but it'll lead to some kind of adventure, more than likely.
Something will happen if you let it.
Something will happen.
I mean, if
And as long as you're okay with anything happening, it's gonna be fun.
even if it doesn't work, even if you fall flat on your face, but you can still take that experience. And I think a lot of people don't look at experience anymore.
And you get to tell
But you get to tell this. You get to tell this amazing story. You might get this amazing story out of it. People go, "Wow!" But you're here now, and yeah, I can tell you that. And you might even your story, 10 years down the road, having that experience and failing at it might then help someone else.
Yeah, but who was it? I think it was Edison. So somebody criticized him. That I can't remember the exact number, but it was. I'm paraphrasing, but he said it took him like 1,000 tries to make the light bulb work, right? And there was a reporter who was kind of criticizing him. He said, "Well, it took you 1,000. You failed 1,000 times." And he said, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. I learned 1,000 different ways how not to make a light bulb." Yeah. So your failure is all about. I mean, failure is good.
I don't fail. I succeed at finding what doesn't work.
Failure can actually benefit you.
It's the
right?
fastest way to find
It's just
out
how you look
where
at it.
success is.
If you look at it as total failure, then you're never going to pick yourself back up and try again.
Yeah.
But the trick is to do that. You get up every time you get knocked down, right?
You gotta be resilient, especially if you have a goal.
Especially in the arts. Geez,
yeah.
Holy.
Especially in the arts, but I have my younger brother. He's an engineer.
Yes.
And he's probably tried 1,000 different ways to build a rocket ship, and they fail every time.
Right.
And it fires him up watching things explode. Like it's
I like to blow
there's so much
I blow
knowledge
things
to
up.
be gained from failing, and also
Well, it's how we learn, right?
there are spectacular failures,
Right.
and they're totally inspiring in itself.
Yeah.
But you have to be like open-minded enough and willing to go, okay, we're not done here. We get to start a new chapter. What's the next light bulb look like?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You could say my life is a spectacular failure, but
I mean, Murphy's Law.
but at the same time, it's this wonderful, wonderful experience, and it's really not a failure. But I mean, I have tried numerous things, and that have not exactly worked, but.
Well, then I can also look at it and say, for everything you've done, getting into film festivals, being able to promote yourself, having seen your writing actually come to fruition and be on stage and have actors perform it, there's maybe 1,000 other writers who have never even experienced that. Yeah. And they never will. Right. And so it's taking the small victories in the war.
You take what you can get.
You take what you can get. and those little, it's the I was in Peter Pan, reading Peter Pan. It was when they talk about the father, that when it came to having the family, he took his dreams and he put them aside and he put them in the drawer. But every now and then we'd open the drawer to look at them again. Right. And it's having those little things that we'll put aside to for the benefit of something else or someone else.
It's one of my biggest fears.
What's that?
Really
having to put it aside.
What's that?
I don't want to have to put music down to go pursue all of these other things that are also very important. I want music to be with me every step of the way.
But it will be. Yeah. It will be.
But
whether.
I have to make that intentional decision. I can't get beaten up and beaten down by the rigors and vigors of life. I'm the one who has to sit down and play piano. I'm the one who has to sit down and play guitar. Otherwise, it's just I'm gonna put it in the drawer and I'll pull it out. It's a party trick every now and then. But other than that,
But I mean, even not saying it will, but even if it ever does become that kind of party trick,
I'm way more bohemian than I thought.
It still becomes something. It might inspire something in someone else. Thank you, sir. So I mean, even having that, I mean, watching you play inspired me enough to go, pull out my 6-string again and tune it up and just start picking again. And even like the last show you guys played, I decided, I've been telling my friend Dominic, I got this friend of mine who's a bass player. You need to just come watch him play. Just hear him. It might not even be, your taste of music, but just come watch him play, just to help you, because he's another one, and I've been needing to either get him on a show or just to start one with him.
What does he play?
He plays bass. He's a little more into metal. Yeah. Like really kind of heavy metal. Okay. But he's great. I've heard him play. I've heard him do live streams and this and that, and practice and rehearse.
Bring him, man. He can plug into my amp.
There you go.
He can pick a song.
But I mean,
as long as BJ can sing it, play along.
But I literally at some points.
Sonny's great. He'll keep up.
At some points, I watched him watch you, and I could see it when he clicked with you, and he could just
I remember talking with him about it afterwards. We sat down at the table, and he had like 6 questions that were like.
Yeah.
They're not just like basic like, how do you guys do that? What is this? You guys are. It was like, you got this gear, you got this. What other things do you play? Like he was.
He knows you had a fretless bass.
Yeah.
So how's that? With the feel, and do you play upright as well? And like and getting like he's already 2 steps up from how you do that. He already knows how you do it. He wants to know what else you're doing. Yeah. On top of that. Yeah. And I could watch like when you get creative, because I watch you as the night goes on. You get really creative and you move around and you make that fucker sing. I could watch him. I watched him literally light up watching your hand dance up and down the neck of that bass. I saw him light up.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate those words.
And that's not even like I don't know how it made him feel individually. You have to ask him. But I could see that click in his eye.
That's great.
Watching it. And that's like, even if you never got a chance to sit down, or if we had to leave right after that, knowing that moment had an impact, that's what counts. That's what matters. It's that little things. Even having your writing has. I've gone and read some of it, and like talking with you, getting to talk to you about it is probably almost more helpful to me than reading it, because it's getting your thoughts on it and why you did it and what it means and where it came from. Because I'm that nosy little dick. I know how the sausage is made, but tell me what you put in the sauce as well. Like I know how a movie's made, but I want to know what inspired this moment or where that came from. Was that a fault? Or that's why I don't talk to I don't care about talking to directors so much or actors as much. I'd like to talk to creative guys, and that's actually my favorite thing about Comic-Con is I talk to makeup artists, I talk to concept artists, I talk to background painters.
It's all the people in the background that make it all.
That they're the cogs in the clock that we don't remember.
And all the people that we know in the big shots, and they're also enjoying it and having a great time. But you get a chance to if you're really into makeup and cosplay, you can meet the people who have the millions of followers on social media and sponsored to go to events and things like that. You can meet them and talk to them about their stitching.
And it's learning those tricks, and just like with Dominic talking with you, it's learning the tricks. What are you doing exactly? What is this gear, and how do you manipulate that in, and this and that. It's learning that stuff. I think that's what people forget about, and that's always been my favorite thing in music with bass, because I was always kind of drawn to it. Everyone loves guitar, and that's fun, and everyone wants to be the center of the stage, wants to be Mick. But we forget about the bass sometimes and how intricate it is. And sometimes I'll sit there and go, "Oh, that was a really cool riff. That wasn't that. That was the bass." Like, what? Okay. And then you get drawn over here. Instead of looking at the center, you go to the side. And sometimes the side is what's more important. That's how when I was an actor, when I was doing theater and plays and wanted to do film as a performer, I never wanted to be the star. I don't want to be a lead. Fuck that. That's too much pressure. I want to be the guy who is not the best friend, but the secondary friend. My go-to on that is I want to be John C. Reilly. John C. Reilly is my favorite supporting actors, and his work in Chicago was so inspirational to me. Right. And it's that's the person that's the career I would want.
Fun stuff.
They get to do fun stuff, and occasionally they get pulled to the front, and they shine. Yeah. But they stay back there, and you know them, and they're dependable. They are the support. They make they can make an okay actor look great. Yeah. They can make a great actor look exceptional. Yeah. And I think that's what a bass is in a band, and people forget that. And and obviously we forget the writers, because once the writing's done and you sell the script, it's not yours anymore.
No,
is
no, they can do whatever they want.
And they do whatever the hell they want. They
if
can
they want
butcher
like
that to
big
death.
tarantulas in it, you know, then they're gonna put
But
big tarantulas.
you occasionally get those studios or you get those directors who are like, no, let's keep the writer on, because what got me, because I think it's sad that we forget that what got us to greenlight this was the words.
Right.
We forgot about the words.
Right, but you know, I specifically talking about Hollywood anyway. Probably music too. There's a lot of ego involved, you know, with the people who are getting on board.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you deal with that, they've got to have their say. They've got to have whatever their ego demands is going to be put into that script, and they're going to make changes.
There's some serious narcissists out there.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Do you know who I am?
Right.
Do you know what job you'll have if I don't like you?
But I think in anything that requires more than one person to create it, collaboration has to be understood. It has to be part of it.
Well, I think that's what's so amazing when you see a film like you see a Marvel movie. You can sit there for 10 or 15 minutes in the ending credits, right?
I do.
Yeah,
I did that before they started adding shit in.
No,
I
me
just
too,
sit there
me
and just
too.
like, look at these people.
Lifelong habit.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
think
amazing
it's
because
appreciation.
all of those people
Made this happen.
made that happen.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the director and the writers and the stars. It's hundreds and hundreds
It's
of
that
people.
best boy. It's the lighting guy. It's the greens guy.
And
It's
under
carpentry.
Those names,
The
there's
guy who does
more people that you don't
This
know.
guy who does the dirt makeup.
Yeah.
So that's to be consistent every day of the shooting.
It's a lot like
you can't just be
theater.
like, oh, throw dirt in this
I mean, it's a miracle that a play actually comes together.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with so many different people and concepts, and they're all different kinds of things going on, that it's amazing that a play, just a little old play, at your local community theater to something huge on Broadway or whatever.
Yeah.
It's amazing that it happens every night.
Yeah.
It's a little miracle that it actually happens.
And
It's amazing.
I learned to appreciate that in high school because our actual crew, like our tech crew, was probably about 4 people. And but for us, the cast, we built the sets. Like we literally had to come in. We had to learn how to do it. They brought in a guy, a retired gentleman from SDSU, who would build sets with them. He came in. He showed us how to build and how to do the plans and the tools you need. And I really got that full experience of like, it's not, you're like, yeah, you're the actor. That's great. Do this now here. Get that sawhorse out, and we got to take these 2x4s, and we got to build a 2-story revolving set.
If you're gonna look good on the set, you're gonna help with the costumes.
Yeah.
You're gonna do your own makeup.
We did costumes. We had to learn makeup. Yeah, and it was really.
If they need help with the lights, you gotta do that.
I did lights. I did lights and I did sound. I got to learn some of the
You have to
soundboards.
do
I was tech director.
whatever you have to do.
Yeah. But I think it also makes you well-rounded. It makes you more skillful. I think it makes you more valuable.
Well,
But I think it also
it helps you play well with others with an objective.
Yeah. But I think it's also a good way of humbling a performer. If that can happen, I think it's a great way.
No, it can happen.
I think it's a great way of doing that. Of
I've
humbling.
been there. It can happen.
I have been humbled.
And I've had people straight up say like, "You're right." I've been humbled too. Like,
Two ends of the spectrum. I've made that happen before. Oh, I've been humbled. That was good time.
I have people read my writing like, "I don't get it," or this doesn't make sense here and this, and I'm like, "Oh fuck, you're right."
Yeah. No, sometimes it's the case, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh my god, this is so great! I can't believe I'm doing this. This is awesome.
Oh,
This makes no sense to me.
Right.
This makes no sense to anyone. Oh shit.
Right. Then you realize, this needs a little refining.
Yeah.
We need
It's
to make
like
it more accessible.
You're not gonna shit gold. You gotta work at it a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes you're driven to extremes. This is a good example. But when I was in school, I had a friend of mine who was producing and directing a play, and the theater department at the school was already sort of getting aggressive toward me and him because for various reasons. But it ended up being sort of like a war between the theater department in the college and us. And sort of to nutshell it, I had to do another year of school, and so I went up to my theater director and I said, well, if I have to do a whole nother year, then I want a senior project, and I want to write and produce and direct my own play. And he said, at that point, no, I got shut down. And so I went over his head, and I went to the dean, and I said, look, I think this is fair. And the dean agreed with me, and so I got green-lighted to go ahead and do that. And it made the theater department angry. So I had my little success story where I did my thing, and it all worked.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a friend of mine who was kind of inspired by that, and he wanted to do his own play and stuff, and so he started doing that, and it ended up in this big war. And
you started a rebellion.
yeah, between the students and the theater department professors, and they got to the point where they actually locked us out of the theater, which is. I mean, they actually put a lock on the theater doors so we couldn't get in.
Wow.
And we were building the set to his new play. And so we said, we're not going to take that. So we climbed onto the top of the hall. And you're talking a very large building. We got onto the top and we found one of the skylights open to the stage and the workroom. And so we lowered ourselves using rope.
It's Mission Impossible, that shit, right?
Yeah, it was Mission Impossible. And
dropping
we
down.
Finished building
Catch your
the
sweat.
set. And we got caught, and there was all sorts of, anger from the professors.
All that good hell to pay.
But we still managed to pull it off, and we ended up getting the dean behind us again, and our argument was that we were pushed to it, by the professors.
Yeah.
And
they said no.
They said no, but I mean, it was weird.
But we have work to do.
We have stuff to do, right? Yeah. And anyway, we accomplished it. So the whole point of the story is that sometimes you're pushed to extremes to have to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you can make it happen, even when you have a lot of resistance. And I think we live in kind of very resistant times now. Things are getting, at least I think in the arts anyway, getting puritanical, but not in a religious sense. It's more of the censorship and the control of the whole safe spaces and trigger warnings and
you take a day off because of this happened, and
right.
I was listening to the podcast, and this is probably about 6 months ago, where an entire class was offended by Steve Martin's song King Tut.
Right.
It was offensive to...
They can all jump off a cliff.
Yeah.
We're turning...
Steve Martin's my hero.
But I mean, think about it, if you made a movie like the producers now, you could never get away with that. Blazing Saddles, you couldn't get away with that now. Even the stuff they did on Saturday Night Live in the early '70s, you can never get away with now. Hearing Richard Pryor and Chevy Chase do word association, you would be canceled in a heartbeat. And look what happened with Roseanne. Right. I mean, mind you, that was a personal situation.
Sure.
But it killed all the jobs on that show for every actor plus the crew. Right. You took away other people's livelihood.
Right.
In that moment.
Since we're speaking about it, I'm going to bring up Monty Python.
Right? So this one bothers me. Yeah. Go for it. Talk about it.
Goodness, man. I'm a huge Python fan. And the BBC, I'm sure you know, recently said, the head of the BBC was talking about bringing in new comedy for the BBC, and he totally came down on Python and was saying that, well, our new comedy is not going to be like, 6 or 7 white blokes from Oxford, and basically, was suggesting strongly that they were racist, that they were homophobic, that they were
anti-trans, anti-LGBT,
and there was no diversity to them and stuff.
Of course there wasn't, because that was the times. Those were the times you were in.
It gets better.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Terry Gilliam and John Cleese are not taking this lightly.
Of course not.
Because so they've come out kind of swinging, and they're like saying, hey, wait a minute, we were very open-minded. We were very open to new ideas and concepts. John Cleese said one of our members was a poof, so he was a homosexual, right? And how many people...
At the time.
So it's ridiculous for people to condemn, for the BBC to condemn Python, because
Yeah.
Python was cutting edge for its time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Which is
It
John,
still is. I mean, you
still
look at
is.
Life of
Today.
Brian. Life of Brian is
That's
still
Life
a
of
very
Brian.
divisive
That's
film
That's
to a
considered
lot of
that-
people.
their finest film.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brilliant film.
it is. It's
But it's edgy.
it's edgy as fuck,
All
man.
over
It
the
goes
place.
after religion and everything.
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 And
Like,
human.
And I miss that things like comedy and even basic sitcom shows. Like, you watched All in the Family. You
Yes.
could never get away with an Archie Bunker nowadays.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
You'd be. Oh my God! You have this racist character on the show, and that's terrible. And you can't be that way. And you're isolating people out of your show because of this character. This is how people are.
Well, that takes us right to the Three Billboards.
Some people are.
Oh,
Right?
yes.
You heard the three.
Three Billboards out of Ebbing, Missouri. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a
yeah.
great film.
Great film.
Excellent movie. Sam Rockwell's performance.
But if you when it came out, it was making getting lots of awards and accolades
Mm-hmm.
in all the film festivals and stuff. And then people began to think about it a little more.
Yeah, and they came down on the director.
And they came down on
him.
it big
The writing
time.
and the yeah.
And the argument was how you cannot have a racist character, a horrible human being, who is the antagonist, become the protagonist.
Why not? Isn't that what you want to happen in the
Isn't
world?
that what you want?
That's the whole idea.
You want him to be redeemed. You want him to become a better man.
And it's sad that people now have this.
Like, no.
We have this cushioned expectation that everyone's got to come out and you got to be loving and caring and all this and that and open your door to everyone. And
As
you're
long as
good.
it fits within
As long as it fits within.
their
I mean, you have to be tolerant, but only to these people.
Right. And if
But if
you
you're not
don't-
tolerant to them, then you're a bad person.
right.
But the people who claim to be so tolerant and accepting aren't that tolerant of accepting of everyone
They're
as it
absolutely
is.
not.
And it's pure hypocrisy, but you can't show them the mirror.
Right. Right. They can show the mirror.
They will
to
show you the mirror, and I have no problem. I can look in the mirror. I know who I am.
Right.
I'm a dick. I know that.
My eyes and ears are open. I can see what's happening.
Yeah, no, I know that I've looked into the mirror of truth and I've seen the true reflection, and it ain't pretty.
But I can accept that.
I can accept
accept it of myself.
Yeah.
I think it's wanting to, since we want everyone to feel included. Well, then my bad parts want to feel included too, so I don't have those anymore.
Yeah, well, if you're doing it for the greater good, it makes you.
But we're not
turns
doing it
you-
for the greater good. We're doing it to make ourselves feel good.
No, but that's what it's about, right? I mean, at the core of their argument, it's really about themselves and about them feeling good about themselves. They're heroic even because they're fighting for the greater good. And so that makes what they're doing their hate, which is really hateful. I mean, what they're doing is hate.
Yeah.
And it's regal intolerance. It makes it okay. It makes it okay to step on the face of the person that you disagree with, that you think is hateful.
Yeah.
And maybe that person is hateful
Because I have more people behind me than you do.
Right, and because we're doing it for the greater good.
You're doing it for
This
the
is
greater
what
good.
Hot Fuzz is all about.
Hot Fuzz is a fantastic
This is
movie.
what it's all about. For the greater good.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just
It's a shame.
it's a shame that like you said, where they went after him for the writing, having a character like that. Like, this is my form of art, this is my expression, this is how I see the world, and this is how I see it can change, but you're not getting it.
Right.
That's why this is here.
Right.
That's the whole reason it exists.
Right.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So I really like jazz music.
Okay.
Do you guys
Yes.
all have to listen to jazz music too?
No.
Okay, cool.
I don't have to like jazz music
okay.
for you to enjoy it.
I feel like we solved all of these problems.
Yeah.
Substitute jazz music for any other subject.
Yeah.
You like it? No, you don't have to be here.
Well, what we're talking about basically is fascism, and a lot of
that's
people
what it
use.
feels like.
No, that's what it is, but that word's thrown around a lot today,
Very loosely too.
very loosely. But if you want to get serious about what it means, the people who are throwing the word around and saying you're a fascist and you're a fascist and you're a fascist, they are the real fascists. You go to a college campus right now,
God.
right?
I don't
And you
want
want to
to.
say something, you want to practice some of your free speech, the fact that you have to go to safe zones and all of this
Fuck is a safe zone?
is I mean
Well, when I was going to
it leaves me speechless.
when I was going to a university in Southern California,
A university in Southern California.
Substitute all of them for this matter.
It's so sad.
In the time I was there, and the first year that I was only there for 2 years, it was not my kind of school. I didn't do well there for various reasons. But in my first year there, they tore out the student union. They were doing construction, so we had no presence of like a student body.
Yeah.
And then there was a free speech area, all in the middle of campus. It's a long, like a huge area.
The concept.
Like you can set up easy ups.
Yeah.
You can have posters. You can have bullhorns. You can be yelling at people, or you could just be handing out.
What happens if you step over the line?
No one
How
would
to shut down.
No one would
Right?
No one would have really.
Boom!
No one would have really cared. I don't think, because it was
Campus police would have arrested you.
No, this was right before things get really bad. My second year there was like an Associated Student Body meeting, so student government, who I had no idea existed at the time, because I didn't know where their offices were, and I didn't know where they were holding things, I didn't tell anyone about their meetings. They decided, we're only going to have this staircase. This is the free speech staircase.
Yeah.
You can say anything on these stairs. But on the rest of the campus, try to be respectful, be quiet. Don't protest.
That's called fascism.
Yeah.
But I was
Yeah.
like,
That's exactly what that is.
I believe this is America. I believe I can say
Yeah,
anything
you can say
I want,
whatever I
anytime,
want.
wherever I am,
Yeah.
within these borders.
You know, the Nazis were fascists,
Yeah.
right? Okay. And they would say things to the German people that were very positive. You know, it was always for the greater good. I mean, fascism. The reason fascism works so well in this stupid world is because it's most of the time
powerful isms.
it's wrapped in this greater good thing. It doesn't matter whatever the greater good
Not
is.
what's said, it's how it's said.
Right.
It's how it's presented to you.
Right. And so, I mean, the German people were totally, I don't want to say they were duped, they were just pulled into it.
They were
because
that
like,
frog in the pot that the heat was slowly
Right.
turned up.
Yeah.
Right, and ultimately, got to the point where they
It
were
was too
totally.
late. It was too late.
I read this great book called "In the Garden of," I think it's "In the Garden of the Beasts." I can't remember the author's name, but it's a nonfiction book about the American ambassador in Germany in the early 1930s, like 1936.
Tough.
And it's all from his perspective and his family's perspective and what they see. And there's a moment in the story which is true, where they all went to this little German town, and a parade started, and they went, oh well, what's the parade? You know, it looks like a big fat German parade. Yay, it's fun or whatever. And the people were parading down the street, and then there was a woman at the end of the parade, and she was beaten up and destroyed, and they did terrible things to this person, and it was all okay because if I remember correctly, it's because she was dating a Jewish man. So she was a German woman who was dating a Jewish man, and so they humiliated her, they beat her, they did terrible things to her. But everybody was cheering. It was like, a happy parade.
Yeah.
And the Germans were, oh, isn't this great? This is all for Germany. And, the Americans there were like, oh my goodness, holy cow. How can this be good? But they couldn't see it because they're right in there. And I swear, there's a lot of that going on in this country right now.
Yeah.
And it's scary to me. Maybe I'm naive.
Well,
See, I'm just figuring out how to use art, trying to figure out how to use art and culture the way we have it to influence other people to look at what's happening. I mean, they can have their own opinions. I'm not worried about that. I just want to get them to think about it.
Yeah.
Like, I understand, a lot of people have a lot of specific things, and they like to live their life their way, and that doesn't bother me. But the moment where it's like, going back to, do you listen to jazz? No, you have to listen to jazz. In fact, it's now on every public radio station for at least 30 minutes a day.
it's the official music of the city.
But only during rush hour times. And it's like, that doesn't sound productive to me at all in the slightest.
It's weird.
So you can go find a community of jazz musicians and jazz listeners and lovers.
Yeah.
And you can spend weeks, months playing music together, hanging out, and doing your thing, and then you go back and you share, oh, this is what we do, and we hang out, we play music, we have fun, everybody, like, we got young kids playing, we got old people who've been doing it forever, like, you can find a community, but you don't have to force the community on other people.
Yeah. And it's weird how that is, like they talk about integration, and, everyone should be loving everyone, and it should be, you should have no problem with this person and that person. We should all get along. And that's great, and that sounds great on a Hallmark card. But
I mean,
it's,
I'll make an effort, but there are other people making
an
effort.
But are you making an effort? But even there's also what I like to call, what I've experienced in my own life is reverse racism, where it's not like, I've dealt with, I'm slightly tan, Hispanic. I understand racism, but I get it from both ends. In the fact of, like, I had a girlfriend in high school, and her grandparents weren't my biggest fans. Let's say that. Even her parents weren't, for individual reasons of my own personality. But then also it came down to a little bit of, color of your skin. That's great. I don't care about that. I'm
People grow up in different spaces.
I'm as bleached as a shirt, coming out of the dry cleaner on the inside. I'm whitewashed to the T. But if I go into Barrio Logan, I get a whole new experience because everyone speaks. Even if I go to work, they speak Spanish to me. I'm treated like Mexican. I should know this and that. I don't speak Spanish personally. I don't know a lot. I understand enough base of Mexican culture, but I don't know it deeply the way some people I work with do. Right. And so I am, in some ways, ostracized out of that.
So you're in that fun spot.
I'm in the fun zone.
I'm
an island in the sea.
Because you hang out with the white kids, and they're like, oh, this is our Mexican friend.
Yeah.
And you hang out with the Mexican people, and they're like, oh, this is our semi-white friend.
Yeah, this is coconut over here.
He's not very Mexican.
He's not that Mexican.
He's super whitewashed, but...
But it's fun because I have found more people in my boat now.
Yeah, because there are lots of people in the boat.
Yeah.
Right?
But they don't want to admit it, or they're ashamed of it. And I have no shame about that. I don't care. I identify based on how I grew up and how my family raised me is very European, very Polish, very Italian, very Jewish. Mm-hmm. So that's how I grew up. So that's what I know. Right. And that's how I treat people. I treat you in that way, open door, you want something to eat, you want something to drink, come in, you need a place to stay, come on in, you're good, we're fine. And so when I see things like these marches and these rallies and, Black Lives Matter and the whole immigration thing and, separating families and this and that, and I'm not trying to get too political, this is we talk about film on this thing, but whatever. It's, there's a part of me that feels pulled in the sense of like, maybe my perspective could be useful to the community I'm not as strongly attached to.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't understand that world, and to them, I will never understand that world, so what the fuck do I know? Go away.
Right.
So it's like, I want to do something, but at the same time, it's like, I'm saving myself.
We're all different people,
we're all
different families, from different spaces at different times, and we just happen to meet each other now.
But then you see those things like if you have the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and let's say you have an African kid who grew up adopted by a white family,
right,
and then he tries to go do that, but then you show him a picture. Hey, here's my family.
I get a good friend.
Fuck you, man! You're a white kid. Get the hell out of here.
Right.
Then then you're defeating the purpose of what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah, I've got a good friend of mine. He's an older gentleman. He was young during civil rights movements during the '60s and '70s. He's a black man, but his parents are German, and the whole family adopted him in Germany. There was no issue there at the time. There was just like they adopted a kid, awesome. And then they come to America, and it's a white family with a black kid.
Yeah.
And then they felt some serious pressure, and he just
didn't.
He didn't know. He'd go out in public, people would cuss at him, swear at him, throw stuff at him. He'd walk down the street with his parents would get abused.
Yeah.
And he just didn't know. He was his parents' kid. That's how he felt.
Yeah.
And so when you get these polarizing movements,
and they're inflexible.
They're inflexible. And like Black Lives Matter, it's like we support young gay black men, we support black women, we support black mothers, we support people without jobs, drug addicts are people too. But like, where in there is like, what about black fathers?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what we're talking about is Scarlett Johansson. What just happened recently with her? She was going to be in a film, and she was playing the lead, and it was a transgender character.
Yeah.
So she was going to play a man who became a woman. Well,
Is that what that was about?
Yeah. The outcry is.
She's not transgender, so
So
she
right,
can't
she
play it.
can't do
She
it.
doesn't understand that world because
Yes.
she's
So,
a woman and
boycott.
boycott.
Whatever.
Well, she had that earlier.
So she bowed out.
She had that
bowed
earlier
out.
with Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
She's not of Asian descent, so she. Okay, A, the character for Ghost in the Shell is a fucking robot, so it doesn't matter what they are. And B, the reason that character in the Ghost in the Shell is Asian is because that's where it was made. I'm going to reflect the culture I know.
Yeah.
And people don't get that. Or
Right,
if they do, they don't get it in the way they should.
I mean,
Some people.
we all have expectations. I think I've had this saying for a long time where it's like expectations, they will kill us all.
Oh, yes.
Because, right, none of
Yeah.
us, nobody can meet it. Anybody's
Especially our own.
expectations.
Okay.
Especially our own, but especially from a crazy group, that's morphed into this giant,
Yeah.
I don't want to say crazy, and maybe it's a little loose, but a group that may be well-intended,
Mhm.
right, but then it starts becoming this thing, this movement. And that's where it starts getting, you're getting into sketchy territory.
I have an idea. Expectations will kill us all.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So let's make short something about a criminal who understands that. He's only a criminal because he understands it, and everyone else expects that he's a criminal.
Mhm.
But he plays everyone expects something to happen, but it doesn't, and that's his advantage. It could be an interesting short.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then his punchline at the end, it's like, how did you pull it all off? And as he's like holding onto the ladder, getting flown off by the helicopter, it's like, expectations will kill us all.
I think it's
Credits.
true.
But I'm seeing that. Okay, like Scarlett Johansson, she got boycotted off of film, and you see that now with movies where it's like, oh, okay, Black Panther came out recently, and I loved it. I thought it was a very good film.
I thought it was okay.
And
I saw it,
I don't-
thought
I
it was
don't-
okay.
Enjoyed watching it. It looks great, sounds great.
I don't
It's
care.
okay.
I don't care who
It's
wrote
a
it and
Marvel
directed it.
movie.
I don't care if they're black. I don't care if they're white. I
Right.
care if they're good. And now it's the whole thing now where okay. I don't know if you watched the Oscars or read anything about it, where they had the whole thing when they announced out the best directors. The presenter straight up said, we come to honor these 4 great directors and Greta Gerwig. Don't individualize someone out
Right.
to make a point.
Right.
They've already been individualized out, and it's made the point.
Right.
Now you're just being a dick.
Right.
And there's no need to do that. Obviously, the Academy saw something in this person to say she deserves to be here with these 4 guys.
Right.
And she already stands out.
Right.
There's a difference between standing out and being singled out.
Right. Yeah. And then the whole it's disrespectful.
It is disrespectful.
I think,
I thought it was very
to the
disrespectful.
artist.
Yeah.
And that's
Here's your Lifetime Achievement Award. You're a female director.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then people,
I just-
but they look at it as the whole, the whole
It should
Me
be-
Too movement and
Yeah.
empowering women and we're empowering her by doing that. No, you're not.
Right.
You're putting a brighter light on her than there already is.
Right.
The light's already on her. She sticks out.
right.
Don't then say, hey, look at the stain on the dress too.
Right.
Yeah, fuck that.
Right.
And people and
Now
Now,
I'd stain
only-
my
only-
dresses if I wore dresses.
but now only movies. If the main cast of a movie is women, then it should be done by a woman. Or if it's about a black person, it should be done by a black director.
Right.
Why?
But
Why?
I mean, this is the absurdity of where we are
Mhm.
because
But it-
acting,
This is-
and
Mhm.
acting is about. It's about the imagination.
Yeah.
It's
not
about
becoming someone else.
becoming
Yeah.
somebody else.
Acting's where we get to go play pretend and we get paid good.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all it
It's
is.
like
Right.
I get to throw all of Sawyer's problems out the window.
Yeah.
And go be.
He's like, I don't have to be
Trevor.
Sawyer. I get to be.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you
I get
can't-
to be Trevor.
you
And
can't-
then I get to work really hard. to
That's
find Trevor.
a bunch of acting school idealism
Mhm.
that no longer applies because back in the old days, it used to be you could play a variety of different kinds of characters. You could play
Mickey Rooney in
a
Breakfast
man-
at Tiffany's.
Yeah,
Or John Wayne in Khan. Genghis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, not as great as film, but
No.
but the beauty of acting was that you could do that.
Mhm.
You could become something else. You could play a man. You could play a woman. You could play transgender. You could play anything,
Yeah.
right?
You put the costume
I mean,
on.
by and large,
Because
you could play an alien. You could play.
It was about the skill. It
from
wasn't
outer
about
space.
It's not about who you are because you're the actor.
Right.
You're acting.
You were chosen.
It's the
you were
whole
chosen-
People forget
core of
about
what acting
people forget about
is.
the,
You're
I-
chosen to play the role to portray the character and continue the story.
And the reason you're doing it is because you were the person who they thought was best for it. And your skill and your talent
Right.
is what drew me to you to want to give you this part.
Right.
I watched Lawrence of Arabia about a month ago.
Yeah,
And
great
in that
film,
movie, you
actually.
you blatantly have Alec Guinness playing a Middle Eastern prince.
Right.
You would not get away with that today. Oh my God, they would hang you from the rafters.
Well, what
and
about Peter Sellers? Peter Sellers.
Yes!
Right?
Yes! What movie? Oh, what the fuck's the name of that movie? It's
Um,
the dinner one. Oh, shit.
He's
He's
like
like
an
an
party. The party.
Is that what it is? Where he's like the Indian gentleman?
Yes.
Yes!
It's
Yes!
stinking funny.
Yes!
He's
It's so
It's
stinking funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
But
but
you
I mean,
couldn't
he
do
plays
that.
him with authenticity.
Yeah.
He's not
like
playing him
he
from a
studies the
racist
culture.
point of
Yeah.
view.
Yeah.
It's not just
He's playing him as a
stereotypes.
real
And
human
see,
being.
that's also what I think gets missed on a lot of people is that we're not playing this role with a white person to be racist or to
Right.
to do blackface or to do whatever or because we're playing it that way, and I'm trusting that actor to do their work to
Right.
go and understand that culture, to
Right.
understand what they're doing, to know who they're portraying,
Right.
and to do it as honestly and say, oh well, he did that and he says something about fried chicken and this and that. You know why?
Right.
Because he probably saw it as part of your culture.
Right.
Did you forget your own culture?
Yeah.
What is soul food? But if I say it or you say it,
Yeah.
you're kind of racist.
Yeah.
But if my black friend says it, well, he's just being himself, and that's his
Right.
culture.
Right.
No shit, I said his culture too.
Yeah.
But you individualize me because I'm not the same color.
Yeah.
And that is the reverse racism.
Yes.
And that's what bothers me, in that we think we're so progressive.
Well, and I think the whole acting argument that we're talking about is a
Mhm.
great example of where we are today, because I mean, I just it makes me think of Laurence Olivier,
Ooh.
who's a fantastic actor.
Othello.
Yeah, right. He did Othello,
Othello.
right? And then he also did a movie called The Marathon Man with Dustin Hoffman.
Yes.
And,
That's when he'd pull out his teeth,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's a famous story, and I'm not sure if I'm telling it right, but it sort of works into what we're talking about, at least the concept. But there was like, Dustin Hoffman was like a method actor and all that, and so he like spent the night out in the street, and he slept in the street and whatever, and he came in the next morning. It was just a wreck, but it was all for the part, because he wanted to be in there. And
You wanted to have that authentic,
right.
real peasant grime.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
stink,
I
all
lived it.
that stuff.
I lived it.
You want the other actor to respond to that.
Yeah.
Right,
And that's what it was about.
But Olivier nailed him.
Yeah.
He totally nailed him. When he saw all the pain that Dustin Hoffman put himself through, Olivier said something like, the trick, my dear boy, is to act.
Yeah.
Right?
It's to act.
It's acting.
We are playing. We
It's pretend.
It's
You're
pretend.
playing pretend.
We're playing pretend, and that's the whole point of it.
You don't have to.
You
sleep
have
in
the greatest
street.
job in the world, to where you get to play. You get to do what you did as a kid at 6 years old. Where you
Right.
played pretend in the backyard. You played cowboys and Indians, or you were Army
Right.
Rangers, or whatever the fuck you were playing with your friends. You get to do that for your living,
Right.
and you get paid amazing for it. You get to have this great experience. Enjoy it.
Yes.
Have fun with it.
Have fun with it, and you should have the freedom to play whatever part that makes sense and can work. But I mean it's.
And I get it with some actors like who do it, and it gives phenomenal work, but ultimately you're really doing a heavy trauma on your psyche, and you're doing heavy trauma on your body.
Sure.
That's almost unnecessary. I'm not saying we can do it with with CG, or we can do it with makeup,
right.
I'm not talking about that. But I'm saying if you can show it to me through your performance without ever physically changing yourself, then you have hit the nail on the head. You earned that award.
Right.
That's the whole
right,
point.
Right? I mean, isn't acting the reason you get the award is because this is who you are.
You convinced me for
and
2 hours.
You became this.
Yeah.
However you did it, whether it was like Elephant Man.
Oh, John Hurt.
John Hurt in huge amounts of
Under
makeup.
all that makeup.
Right,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
I mean, whether it's that way or
Yeah.
not using makeup or
Yeah.
whatever, but you transform yourself into something that you're not. Isn't that what acting is? And that's why we give those awards, those stupid, meaningless awards, right?
You have to give them back the Academy Awards.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, when you die, your
Where
family
they
doesn't
just
get
sit
them.
there and go, "Woohoo! This is how cool
give
we
you
are."
They give you a replica one that you can put on your desk.
There you go.
Really?
Shelf, yeah.
Oh shit.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
But, I mean, that's
Yeah,
That's
they got all
actually-
this money, still cheap bastards.
Yeah.
is that's the essence of what acting is.
Yeah.
And I've acted in quite a few things, on the stage back in the day, and for me, the goal was always to be as far away from me as I can possibly get, and the fun was doing that. That was the fun when you find a character who is like the opposite of what you are, and trying to understand that person and experiencing that person.
Go within yourself. It's like an enlightening process. It's like, oh, there are people like this? Wow, I would have never thought. How do they react in these situations? How do they react here?
Yeah, and you try not to react. I mean, you can only take it so far, right? Because it's you.
It's
It's
still
you
it's
acting.
still you.
So it's still you.
It's still you.
It's still you.
You can only
playing
do so much.
pretend.
I mean, I can want to be the lead in a film, but I'm still only 5 foot something.
right? well,
I'm never gonna be 6'4" Jeff Goldblum or whatnot. I can't do that.
You probably won't get cast
But
as
but
the next Batman.
No, fuck, man. Why you gotta kill my dreams? Love Batman.
Keep Superman open though.
Ooh.
I remember in acting school, I was told, I had these big dreams of being like William Shatner, and
Everyone does. Shatner or Adam West. The two gods.
and I was told right away, that I was not the leading man. I was the leading man's best friend, and you're gonna have to accept that, because Hollywood's gonna see you that way.
They're gonna see you that way.
And I'm really resistant to that because as an actor, for me the thing is like, come on, I can
put me in a box.
I
Put
can
me in
do
a box.
this.
Do it. I'll get out of this.
I'll get out of this damn
get
box.
out of this box, right?
Not
No
my,
way you can hold
But
me.
at the same time, there is a truth to it.
Yes.
There's
absolutely a truth to it.
that
Yeah.
you have to accept. That at some point,
I remember one of
I'm
my
not the leading man.
one of my acting teachers.
Well, it's responding to
I'm not Ray Fiennes.
Responding to criticism, whether it's good or bad, you have to this is what they said, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
But this is what they said.
This is what they
gotta
said.
keep that in mind.
I gotta stay here. I remember one of my acting teachers. I had to do a scene from Romeo and Juliet, and she said, you're not the leading man, but you have to play like you're the Latin lover. What the fuck is that? I'm not that Hispanic. Come on. All right, so like, okay, I'll watch some Antonio Banderas and learn from there, or some Omar Sharif, or some Cesar Romero, like the old Cesar Romero before Batman, where he was that rare character.
Absolutely true.
And it's like that's how you learn it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, this is where you've put me, so let me learn what that is. And when people, not saying that we need to learn to live within our limits, but sometimes we do, because when we say that to ourselves,
Right.
live within your means,
Right.
act within your means too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be that leading person.
Right.
So find your niche.
Right.
And
do
shine
it.
in there.
Yeah.
If you're really good at comedy,
Yeah.
chances are you probably won't get the drama part.
Yeah. But I have my own thoughts on that, and I like that you brought that up.
But then it's like how do you want to put your energy? Do you want to become the drama star if you're really good at comedy, or do you let your comedy shine and enjoy it, or learn to enjoy it?
I think my favorite thing about comedic performers going into dramatic roles is that they understand something that a lot of dramatic actors don't, which is timing.
Oh yeah.
Which is why I loved Robin Williams when he would take a dramatic role like Dead Poet Society or Awakenings.
Fisher King, come on. Fantastic film.
Fisher King.
One of the best Robin Williams and
Jeff Bridges.
I think it's Jeff Bridges. I think it's his finest, one of his finest.
Or when you see him, like, if you saw 1 Hour Photo or Insomnia, where he actually played a villain. And you're like, oh my god, I never thought of him that way. He's menacing, he's scary. And people don't think of funny people that way. And that's actually, I know he's kind of, he's very kind of, he's kind of polarized now, but Adam Sandler, as a dramatic actor, to me,
I've seen him do
very
some
good.
stuff
Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah.
Spanglish, Reign Over Me.
does-
Like, when you see him play a dramatic role, you're like, oh my god, I never thought of him that way. Of course not, because you only saw him as funny and juvenile. But you got to remember, these guys' whole lives, before they ever got that star feeling, it was about timing and catering to an audience You live and die on that stage within those 5 minutes. And if you cannot time your jokes right, or your punchline right, or your movement right, you die.
Yeah.
So I think they understand it a lot better than most dramatic actors ever will.
Right.
And I think that's very powerful.
Yeah.
It's forgotten.
What's the famous line? As a old Hollywood actor, he said, "Dying is easy, comedy is hard."
Yes.
And I can't
Comedy
remember
is
his
hard.
name.
I appreciate that.
But he's
Comedy is
totally
hard.
right.
It's so true.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what Dane Cook said. He'd rather perform brain surgery than go back and do a live comedy tour.
I believe that.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, he's, like as a successful comedian, like
Yeah.
he's real tough.
Sawyer makes jokes sometimes on stage. Too.
What? No, this is true. This is a quote. This is a quote.
No, I know, but I was like, you make jokes sometimes on stage too.
I usually like stumble and fumble my words,
Yeah, a little bit.
but sometimes I nail it.
Well,
And usually they're
You do
just
good.
silly, stupid jokes.
He's got little banter jokes or this and that, or like comments on
I'll
how they
heckle
play.
you back. If you heckle me, I'll get you
Oh.
back.
Yeah, he will. He's pretty good about that.
And then when you start talking, I interrupt you with a song.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah. Talk back to me. Next song.
Yeah, done. Well, you have the
Freebird.
power and
Freebird's
control.
is your best one.
Someone
Someone in the audience requests Freebird. Here's Freebird. Yeah, there you go. Freebird. There you go.
I try to pass that one off to the other guys every now and then.
It's the oldie but the goodie.
I'm the one who gets volunteered for it.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I usually say yes. So.
Hmm.
Yeah. We've really kind of painted the palette tonight. Jesus. We've gone all over. We touched Monty Python, for God's sake.
Ow! Oh
Wow.
man, I need to see Holy Grail. It's been a good.
It's been a while since
I've
I
seen
watched
it.
that one too.
I need to see.
That's the one that kind of got me in. I watched.
Oh, yeah,
Then I watched Flying Circus. Then I watched
Yep.
Faulty Towers.
Faulty
It was like,
Towers,
oh my God, what was the little butler's name? Emmanuel or something like that? Or
Yeah, yes.
Like
Man,
completely.
thank you, man. Well.
It was completely like watching it now. Like, oh my God, it's completely stereotyped racist character.
Right.
But it was so
But they're
good.
they're making fun of people who are like
Yes.
that,
it's,
right?
It's,
Yeah.
it's not that they're actors portraying that they want people to live this
We're
way.
not saying it's the truth.
literally
We're
like,
saying this is an exaggeration.
we saw someone do something like this, so
Yeah.
we're gonna multiply it times
I mean,
10 to the 10th
Faulty
power.
Yeah.
Towers is all about mocking British
Yeah.
society,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know,
The
what's
Ministry
it,
of Silly
middle
Walks.
class British society? I mean,
Yeah.
they're mocking
I
them.
just feel like that's 90% of what Python did.
Yeah. Oh, no,
hey,
usually.
Look, hey, look at
Wonderful.
you guys. Oh, we're
Yeah.
gonna become street cons and ruin your whole day because a street con stepped in front of you.
Yeah.
Like people were peeved off.
Yeah.
You can see some. I think it's like now for something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they make like pedestrians have right of ways, and they sit inside of them and creep around and mess with the pedestrians.
No, I mean, yeah,
And
they're
they
totally.
like,
It's
old
satire, and
ladies
that's the
smacking-
satire is one of the most beautiful things in
Mhm.
comedy, I think.
Yeah, it's
You know,
eye-opening.
because there's a truth to it,
It's eye-opening.
and you can do it in a way that is funny, but it's if you think about it, you go, oh my goodness, you know,
You're not wrong.
you're not wrong, and
Yeah.
you're pointing out some stuff, you know, that maybe society needs to figure out.
You're pointing out those base truths that we forget about ourselves.
Right.
And like, yeah, maybe I am a little too stuck up, or yeah, maybe I do kind of walk funny. And
Yeah.
you can either, get over it, or you can be stuck by it. And a lot of people just need to learn to kind of, I think, get over it, because ultimately it's not going to define you. How you handle the problem
Handle it,
is what
how it
defines you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I used to, you were talking about being short.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was short too, and I am short. I'm 5'6".
I don't have to tell us, but I'm taller than both of you.
Yeah, hey, you
Well,
bully.
It's
All
what's
of
in the
us-
food. It's all the damn GMOs in the food. That's what it is.
All
He's younger than us too.
of my really close
Kill him.
friends are like 6'3", 6'4".
We're gonna get our revenge, dude.
Yeah, eventually. Well, you only have to take me off with the big toe. Some of these other guys take him off with the knee.
But when I was in school, I was really tiny,
Mhm.
and I used to get beat up and into
Yeah.
fights all the time.
Mhm.
I went to a number of different schools when I was growing up, and that probably accounted for it because I was always the new kid, so I was always the outsider,
Yeah.
strange kid, or whatever.
Get him. He's
And-
not one of
and-
us.
Yeah, but I mean, I had to fight. There were times where I really had to fight. I remember once I was in the 7th grade in Colorado. I was going to a school at Summit, Colorado, and it was Like another one? You're good? Okay.
Thank you.
And I was doing my 7th grade, and I was walking down the hall, and there were 6 football players, and they were walking down the hall, and I knew one of them. It wasn't a friend, but he was kind of an acquaintance. And they grabbed me, they attacked me, and just started throwing me around and stuff. And I was tiny. And there was a garbage can, a big 55-gallon garbage can, half filled with water and vomit, that the janitor was cleaning up. And their goal was to get me into that garbage can, in that bucket. And I knew it, and so they picked me up, and man, I fought as hard as I could. I was sticking my fingers in their eyes. I was biting. I was doing everything I could. I couldn't overpower them, of course. They put me in the bucket, but I knocked the bucket over, the garbage can over, and so it splashed all over them, and then they took off, and they were laughing. And I remember that I was drenched in all this water vomit, and I walked down the hall. I followed them, splashing down the hall, and they walked into the gymnasium, and they sat in the bleachers, and the coach was there, the football coach was there. And they all sat down, and the whole football team was there, the coach, assistant coach, and I walked by, the coach was about to give some sort of pep talk or whatever, and I walked right in front of him, and I just yelled at the entire football team, but at these guys specifically. I said, "Why did you do that?" And it just kind of echoed. And nobody said anything. And I turned around and I walked out. and I think about that today, and I'm like, wow, none of the teachers did anything. The coaches didn't say anything. The only person who did was the football player who I kind of knew. He came up to me afterwards and he apologized. And so I said, well, why? Why'd you do it? And he said, because you were the shortest guy in the hallway. And that's why they did it. And man, I never ever forgot that. Never forgot. Gotta fight. Stick and fight, man. Because they didn't make it easy.
Well, you could almost call it your training for when you start writing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that
for maybe life.
For life even. And that's the thing people.
Sometimes life roughs you up. Can't do anything about it. You as hard as you fight.
And going back to
afterwards you can make the most out of it and really let someone out.
Yeah.
Have other people
buggers.
learn from your experiences.
right? And that's I think that's the danger of those kind of safe zones now with colleges now and high schools, and you can't be bullying and this and that. Part of growing up, part of what shapes your character is bullying, because there is going to be someone bigger than you. There's going to be someone smarter than you. There's going to be someone more powerful than you. There's going to be someone richer than you.
More beautiful,
more attractive, more that's nature. And in order for you to survive it, you're either going to fall prey, or you're going to become a rock and stand your ground. Yeah. And I think that's what makes a great person. That's what makes someone stronger. That's what's going to ready you for the rest of your life. And especially if you get into something like this, like art, where someone is going to look at your writing and say, this is shit, or you fucked up here, or this makes no sense to me, or your chords make no sense, or these lyrics are shit, or you don't know how to fucking play.
The best thing you could do with this is burn it.
This review makes no fucking sense to me, and you need to proofread this and that. Like, you can fall apart.
I believe that.
Like, you can fall apart like a puzzle.
Right.
Or you can be not hard as rock, but strong as resin, to where you're still soft inside and you feel it, but you take it. You can take it.
Right.
And it's going to make you strong. You're like, you know what? Yeah, I hate that person, but they're not wrong.
Right.
They're not wrong.
Right.
And let me learn from that.
What they said, and then
remember what they say, and that's your drive.
And how you felt, because most of the time people aren't going to say anything unless they want you to hear it.
Yeah.
And if they want you to hear it, there could be something to learn from it.
That's fine. People.
A lot of the times it can be crap.
Yeah.
It can be garbage, and people don't understand what they're actually saying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I've written plenty of crap.
Oh, we asked for someone. Hey, can you read this and tell me what you think? We really don't want to know what they think. We want what's the word?
Mission Impossible. The next one. Write the next Mission Impossible. That's what we want.
We want validation. We want validation.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for.
Right,
validation.
I matter.
We actually don't want to know what they really think.
Right.
They'll be like, oh, this is great. Oh, yeah, this one. Oh, shit.
But I think one of the coolest things that I've ever gone through as a writer is like when you're doing, when you have a live reading, a stage reading of your work.
Ooh,
you
that'd
know,
be fun.
there are times where I've had my work, had a stage reading with actors and a live audience, and then afterwards you just sit there in a chair, you know, and you look at the audience, and they throw out, you know, all these.
I felt, I learned, I
right,
realized.
right, and some of it's good, you know, and some of it isn't, and you just have to sit there and take it, and then you go home and, but I mean, you can't take that personally, but it's so good because there's stuff there's good advice in there, you know. Sometimes they hear things.
You kind of hit it right there.
Yeah.
You can't take it personally.
Right.
This is still, especially if you're trying to make it your work, or if it actually is your work, you can't take it personally. You can't take everything home with you.
No.
Because eventually
Right.
you're just going to be depressed. You're going to crawl into the bottle or whatever your sort of relief is from that. And you can't take it personally. You take it, you make note of it, and you use it.
Right.
And that's I think what a lot of people nowadays are so
You use it.
not
That's
doing
absolutely
anymore.
right.
We just
Yeah.
take everything personally. We're not using it.
Yeah, you can.
And they're so afraid of it now.
Yeah, we're afraid of it.
Afraid of that.
You get to filter through the criticism that people gave to you.
Well,
and
it
you
can
say,
even be
"Th-
hateful.
Yeah.
This is a great point. So and so knows their stuff.
Yeah.
I should try to think about this next time.
Yeah.
And this person is just upset and angry and bored.
Right.
Yeah.
This person, I take half of it. The other half I don't quite understand.
Mm-hmm.
This next person, that's a solid like, hey, you're doing this wrong, but it could be improved like this. There's good criticism out there, and you gotta filter through. Don't take all of it.
Yeah, I mean, criticism is
You
a
gotta
good
filter
thing.
through.
It can be anyway. It can be.
It can be.
It can be
When
used
used properly,
badly.
yeah.
When used
Yeah.
properly, it can be very useful.
Yeah.
You know, and I think musically, you probably understand that. Where somebody go, yeah. I mean, if it's a person who understands music and everything and well trained, and they give you some advice or whatever, you know, you've got to be able to take that
Yeah, and sometimes
say,
it hurts. Sometimes it
Of
hurts.
course it
When
does.
they're like, hey, you didn't do this. You really have to do this. It's like, oh, jeez, I forgot.
right.
Or
You gotta-
it's
you gotta carry it, you
or
gotta
I
own
just
it.
I didn't know, but now I feel behind. But you have to apply that to your practice sessions, to your writing sessions, to your whatever when you go off and do your acting practices, hanging out improvising with your friends. You gotta do it, but you gotta listen to the criticisms that other people give you, because the value of another perspective is
It's
amazing.
huge.
I think it's essential because
It's
it's the only way you're going to
essential,
grow.
yeah.
That's the
It comes
right
down
word.
to even
Yeah.
like when you're in school and you get a test and you're graded on
Yeah.
it because you did something wrong
Yeah.
or you missed something here. You were right there and you just missed it. So here's how you need to improve it. You need to find it again and improve it and make it better.
Yeah.
And I think we are slowly forgetting that, and it's really going to affect not only society, but it's heavily going to affect
It's
our.
affecting our work ethic.
It affects the work ethic.
As a society.
Yeah.
I'll say that in America.
Mhm.
I don't know how it's working in other countries, but I feel our work ethic is dropping.
Yeah.
People take criticism poorly.
Yeah.
They get upset. They're butthurt about it for
Yeah.
weeks. They let it add on to their depression and the anxiety that someone's told them that they have.
Yeah.
Like, criticism's a blessing.
And I usually I go to people who I know me because they're always going to give me the most honest criticism.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna look at your work objectively.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like we'll still
Yeah.
we'll go have a beer afterwards.
Yeah.
But this is what I think about this project.
Yeah. And that's useful. I think it's better to have that small circle of 4 or 5 people that you completely trust to listen to your work, to read your art, to read whatever, to see whatever you're doing that you want critiqued or criticized, and have them do it because you know you're going to get more honesty from them than you will from the rest of the crowd. And I think it's important, especially with our whole kind of safe zone society, to create your own safe zone in those people who are not just going to be a safe zone, but are also going to tell you when you're screwing up.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had my best friend for a while. I went on my own kind of bender for a while, and he straight up told me, like, you know, we're not going to be friends for a while, you know, until you straighten your shit up. That's basically what he did, and he cut himself off from me.
Right.
And it was right. He wasn't wrong. I had to straighten my shit up, and then eventually we mended those wounds. And I'm not gonna say it's not like that clean palette. You can still see the scar in there,
Sure.
but reminds you.
But it's part of your relationship.
It's part of the relationship, and it reminds you it happened.
Yeah.
You fucked up,
Right. Yeah.
but you mended it.
Yeah.
Right.
So get on with it.
Yes.
So
Get on with it!
he's going back to Monty Python.
Yeah. You have to you use all that stuff. I mean, that's sort of something that's been kind of cycling around in this conversation.
Yeah.
Is that you use it for good, for the bad, and the scars are still there, but that's part of who you are.
The scars and badges, it's just as much so.
Yes.
I don't know about a badge.
No, within yourself. Like,
Yeah.
Wait,
there's that great scene in Jaws, right? Where
Oh
they're
god!
comparing
Where they're all
scars.
comparing scars. Oh, it's a great moment.
Roy Scheider pulls up his shirt.
No,
He's
but
looking.
The
This is-
appendix
but
scar.
this
That's all he's got.
Yeah, but not in a prideful sense, but in like a personal, like, I experienced this pain, and I'm beyond it now.
Yeah.
This is what healing looks like. This is what a scar looks like.
Yeah, wouldn't it be weird? Is if like you went through life. I think maybe this is a good sum up of society today. But they don't want any scars.
Yeah.
They all want to
I
have
want to look pristine and perfect.
right, and you can't have that. At some point, life is going to come in, and you're going to get struck by a snow plow in the summertime.
Suddenly realize,
And you're gonna
realize you're allergic to all of the things you're
You're
eating.
gonna go, what? Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You just suddenly realize you're allergic to everything you've been eating.
Right,
for the last 2 years.
or I mean, it's life. Life is
Yeah.
is brutal.
Yeah.
Life is a horror show. I mean, it's a beautiful horror show, but
It's
it's
still harsh.
harsh.
Yeah.
It's horrific. I
Well,
mean,
it's
if you really
necessary.
think, if you, yeah, I guess it is necessary. Yeah, it is. But if you look at, I mean, it's constantly, a horror show.
Oh yeah.
I think maybe that's why horror movies are so successful. Maybe that's why horror films are the bread and butter of Hollywood.
Yeah. It's not us. It's someone else.
It's not us, and it could totally be worse.
Yeah.
Somebody could come in here with an axe and kill us all. So things aren't too bad.
It happens every day.
Open your newspaper. You'll see.
But yeah, life is a horror show, but there is so much beauty in it, and
It's the ravine outside of work.
it's the ravine
it's the
outside
ravine.
of work. Yeah, it's
That's
the
what it is.
ocean that
Yeah.
we want to float
To stand
in
in.
all
Yeah.
the time.
That's what it is.
And if we could, our goal is to be there as much as possible and create beauty and not
To be here as much as possible.
to be here as much as possible. But I want things to get better. My work is kind of dark. It has dark elements to it, right? But it's not dark to be dark. It's dark because I think it's funny. So I have that kind of sense of humor. But at the same time, my hope is that you'll read my work or whatever, or see something I did, and you'll go, maybe there is hope for us, and there's all this beauty in there. Because I think the whole point of what we do is to shine light in the darkness, right? To get us out of the darkness,
To get us through the darkness.
to get us through the darkness.
Let's just get through it.
Yeah.
We're never gonna get out of it. It's
No,
always
no,
gonna
I
be
agree
dark.
with
We
you.
just gotta walk through it,
Yeah,
and eventually you'll find out.
Yeah. yeah,
You might be with someone. You might be by yourself. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You'll find your way through.
yes,
That's
yes,
the heavy part.
yeah, absolutely.
That's a new song for you, Sawyer. Go write that. Through the darkness. It's got to be done by Tuesday.
Okay.
And give you a deadline too. Make it work.
Do I have lyrics?
It's up to you.
Okay, cool. Prepare to be disappointed.
That's why you don't have expectations.
They will kill us.
Yes, kids, we're touching on every topic we've hit. All right, racism. Let's go.
Oh dear.
I'm trying to think of anything else we can touch on tonight. It's- We've really driven this car off the track and just went all over the
All
road.
over.
But why not? I mean, that's the fun part. That's why.
Rabbit hole conversation.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you get three creative minds together.
Fall down the rabbit hole and see what happens.
Oh yeah.
And if you kept up the whole time, join us.
If you kept up,
Yes.
it's amazing. That's a skill, eh?
Join us.
Join us. We want to
Join
Play
us.
with us.
Play with us.
For
Come
the
play with
greater
us.
Forever,
For the
forever,
greater good.
and ever, for the greater good, forever.
God, that movie's creepy.
Yeah, a great film.
Yeah, it's a great film.
Kubrick.
Speaking of Kubrick, if they're on tour right now,
Mhm.
all across the continental United States,
Okay.
for the 2001: Space Odyssey on 70mm film.
I've heard
Yeah,
about it.
I missed that.
I
And
missed it
I
too.
got a chance to see it.
I know, you told me, you
And-
dick.
If you get a chance to go see it, that's the only thing I'll say.
Yeah, it had to be a phenomenal experience.
It was so
Film
Yeah.
experience.
yeah.
There's some movies you want to see. You just want to see them. Certain ones you just have to see in
it's,
theater.
it's Christopher Nolan just redeveloped the negatives.
Yeah,
He did
right,
not
that's what I'd heard.
digitally remastered. This is not like the Star Wars digitally remastered versions where the aliens look better suddenly, but they look out of place because
Yeah, I know.
it's film on film.
R2D2 is flying. What?
Yeah, things like that.
He's got
Things like
superpowers now.
that. Yeah. So they just like there's dust and hairs as they develop. They didn't clean the film.
Wow.
They just redeveloped it.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
you get these cool space scenes where
Mhm.
you watch in the ship's dock to classical music.
Yeah.
And there's dust particles that flicker on, and it just
Nice.
looks like flickering stars. And it's a really cool, like, unintentional effect.
Huh.
And it just happened to work out that way.
Nice.
It was awesome. And then just the way Stanley Kubrick, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is.
He is a crazy genius.
I'd like to see someone make a film today that looks as smooth as that one does with his technology. I want to see if someone can do it. They use old film cameras.
Yeah.
Or are we so dependent on CG and
Well,
computer-generated imaging?
I mean, the nice thing, the advantage we have now compared to what Stanley had in the 60s is that we film everything on digital, which is basically you kind of plug in the USB
Right.
and it's all saved in there. So you can film as much as you want, and that drives the cost down. Because the cost
you
of
have to
film and
remember,
processing
yeah,
it is expensive.
In 2001: Space Odyssey,
Mhm.
we've got these the revolving scenes as he's jogging around the space
Yes.
station,
Mm-hmm.
and they built the set to accommodate.
Mhm.
And then the way that they transition the film to the next sequence, where the next guy comes in, is flawless on the film.
Mhm.
And
But Kubrick was kind of like this insane.
He's very
genius.
meticulous.
I mean, hugely meticulous.
so
There are no accidents. I mean, there are no
I
accidents in
want-
film anyway.
Yeah.
But
especially with Kubrick.
especially with Kubrick, there are no
Yeah,
accidents.
and he's notorious for being known to when being asked about the meaning of films, he goes, "Well, what did you get out of it?"
Yeah, he didn't explain.
I thought this, but what is it about? And he goes, "Well, what do you think it's about?"
Yeah. He wants you to figure out what it means
Yeah.
for you.
So I'm going to challenge filmmakers today to try to channel that mysticism, the
Kubrick spirit.
next. Well, it's a. We were talking about it
Yeah.
earlier before Vince came over. He's just like he leaves things unanswered for you to think about later.
Yeah, we were talking about Annihilation.
I have been on a 2001: Space Odyssey trip for the last 6 weeks. I've read the book multiple times.
Mhm.
I'm debating, watching some remakes and some of the sequels and things like that. There's a whole book series. Arthur C. Clarke did it. Multiple books. I'm debating reading all of them. But just this masterpiece of 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a film be made today that becomes that iconic. Something that's that well made.
Yeah.
To where it
hard
holds
to do.
To where it holds its water 50 years later.
Right.
And it sells out theaters again.
Right. It's still challenging.
Mhm.
It's still visually appetizing, still visually appealing.
Right.
It's emotionally, psychologically thrilling.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, the first half of that movie is like watching dirt move on a
Yeah.
windy day.
Yeah.
You know, it's
It's a slow burn.
oh,
It's
boy.
a very slow. I think Stanley.
It's tough.
For me, Stanley Kubrick was not
You
necessarily.
gotta read the book. You gotta read the book.
I'd dick a fork in my eye.
I think he wasn't so much a great
Because the book's words so complicated.
storyteller
That whole section.
as he was a great filmmaker. I mean
Right.
two different things in there.
Yeah,
In that
the
story
storytelling, yeah.
is, I think for him, was very secondary to what he could do with film, what he could tell you with film.
Yeah.
And I think that was very heavy in The Shining. I think it was very heavy in 2001.
He's portraying emotion without the usage of words
Yeah.
a lot of times.
And I think it was also very heavy even in Full Metal Jacket. Like his like he basically what I got out of Full Metal Jacket is he wanted me to experience what it's like to be a soldier from coming into boot camp to going to a battlefield and having that kinship with the people I went through boot camp with. And that's about all I got out of it. Visually, it's amazing. It looks so real. It's heartbreaking. It's raw.
Yeah.
But I think that's more about his skill as a filmmaker than a storyteller.
Yeah.
And I think that's especially true with 2001 because it set up our ideas
The
of...
story is so
The story is very...
borderline absent.
Yeah.
Or very broad.
And even it's very broad, and even the performances are as best as you can do with what you have. but as far as how a frame is shot, how it's set up, how it's lit, how it's composited, is wonderful, and it's icon, and it sets a bar that people forget about or that people aspire to, and that's the nice thing about it. And even in The Shining, from taking the angle from Danny's perspective on the little bike through the hotel, and the movement of it, and the carpet, and how the color palette changes from the rooms and the hallways to where when you finally stop and little girls, it's startling. Yeah. Not just because there are two people there, but because then the color changes. Right. Yeah. And then it changes again when the elevator opens, and it's just that whole immersion. I'm going to give him this, and I'm going to give him this, and I'm going to top it with this. Yeah. And it has to be timed just right, and if it's fucked up, then we got to do it all over again. Right. And it's...
Which he did. I mean,
he did.
And it's how many takes would it take?
He has
the kind of madman perspective of it.
In my opinion, he's got that, like, Beethoven, kind of... He's totally nuts. Mm-hmm. He's brilliant at what he does, and he's only going to make 9 of these in his life. Yeah. But all of them are going to hold their weight for so long, inspire so many composers.
Eyes Wide Shut, really? I don't know. I walked out of that one. I did.
You didn't like Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman in a weird sex cult?
I may have more respect for that film now just because of some of the tricks he did. We're talking about as a director. Mm.
And that's...
There are some cool things that he did that only Kubrick would do. Mm. Yeah. But is it a great film? No, it's not a great film.
And again, I don't see him as a great storyteller. I see him as a great filmmaker. Yeah. And I do individualize those things. He's a filmmaker. Yeah. And he understood what you could do with a film and how you can make it work.
Right, which is actually... I mean, it's that rare thing that I think a lot of people make movies, right? But do they make great movies? They make movies that are entertaining and whatever. They make movies that sell, make lots of money. But every now and then you come across a filmmaker where you can sense it. There's something great about this because
you can sense the presence of the director and it's like,
they're
how it's seen.
It's not just about getting the entertainment out, you know, like what's it? The new Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah.
Fallen World.
Yeah, Fallen Kingdom.
Right. Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, Fallen Kingdom.
It's I mean, that's just about entertainment.
It's a popcorn film.
It's a popcorn film. And making
it's
money.
Escapism for 2 hours.
Right.
And I think that's one of the best things about film. I think is that that's what it can do, and I think that's one reason. Obviously, it's one reason King Kong was so successful in the 30s, was you're in the middle of the Great Depression, and let us escape all this sadness and depression by going to an island where there's this 50-foot gorilla that we've never seen before and have this world of wonder. Yeah. And I think that's the power of film.
But the word you used was wonder. Wonder is right. Film should
feel like wonder. I think
I want to be affected afterwards. I want to think about it. I want it to push me mentally, emotionally. I want to feel feelings.
But even if it's a popcorn film, though.
Yeah.
Even in a popcorn
film where it's total, entertainment. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. That's wonderful. That's what film is. All film, even Kubrick, is entertainment.
It's entertainment,
right? At the end of the day, this is just they're movies. They're not curing cancer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What if Stanley Kubrick never made that movie? Oh my God! Well, he had to make the movie. Well, no movie has to be made.
Right.
They're
entertainment.
It's extra money that we found a way to use.
Right,
Really,
right.
is what it is.
And we, in this life that we are so lucky to be in right now,
Yeah.
we can go to a movie theater
Yeah.
and put money down and be entertained,
And be
for 2 hours and experience this wonder.
Experience
you
and
know?
feel something, be it good, be it bad, be it I loved it, I hated it. Well, tell me why.
Right.
Tell me why you loved it. Tell me why you hated it.
Right.
I want to know.
I mean,
What did you experience?
That's what films are.
Yeah.
What does the film mean to you?
What does it mean to you? Yeah. I watched
Talk about that.
I don't know if either of you have seen it. You probably have Spotlight. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
I haven't actually.
You haven't actually seen Spotlight. Okay, it's a very rough film because it is mostly based on a true story of how the Boston Globe broke the whole thing, the scandal about priests with the pedophilia.
Oh, I know.
And
What
it's
you're
a
talking about.
very heavy, and I didn't expect it to really hit me, but I did at the same time, I guess, if that makes any sense. In the sense of that, I grew up Catholic. I was an altar boy for a few years in my school. I went to Catholic school, so I understood that whole world and that whole perspective and how it was. And there's a moment in that film where Mark Ruffalo's kind of yelling at the other reporters about, why it's important they do this and that, and it could have been you, it could have been me, it could have been any of us, and we gotta nail these scumbags. And I just fell apart in the theater. And I'm probably the youngest person in the fucking theater. And it's not even full, maybe half full. And it's, again, people 40 and up. Some parents, some individual people or couples, this and that. And I feel like I'm the youngest person in the theater. And I'm falling apart in the theater just because it hit me where I didn't think it would.
Sure.
And I was like, I'm going to go into this film. I know what it's about. I'm so positive it's going to be a great film. I'm so positive about that. But I didn't expect it to hit me the way it did.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And when it was up for the Oscars that year, I was just like, yes, please, 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 let this movie win. This is so important for me on this basis because of blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so when I went and saw The Revenant in the same year, I was like, that was cool. That was excellent filmmaking, and I would love to learn the tricks and editing that he did. And oh my, well, he did all in one shot, and everything's practical, and this and that, and DiCaprio ate a fucking buffalo spleen. No, he didn't. You're all full of shit. He's an actor. He's a vegetarian. He didn't eat shit. That was homemade. We all know it. Get over it. I can see the seams in your CGI. Was it a good film? Yes. Do I care to watch it again? No. But I can watch Spotlight again and see how important, what the base story is about the importance of press and freedom of speech and how it touches that First Amendment and the deeper meaning of it. Yeah. And it's like, that's me and whatever. And that's the meaning I found in the film. Right. I don't know what you found in 2001 compared to what I found or compared to what Heath found in it. Again, it's a different experience.
That's what I want to talk about. That's when it gets really interesting. Yeah. Another perspective is invaluable. Yeah. So sit around and share a perspective.
Yeah. For me, Brazil by Terry Gilliam.
Brazil is another one.
One of the best movies ever made.
Top 5 films to watch at any time.
It's really my number one film.
I love it.
And I went to Colorado a little while ago, and we have a Laserdisc player, and we have the original theatrical version on Laserdisc. Ooh. Which is the American theatrical version.
DVD XXL.
Yes.
It's basically what it is.
And, you gotta flip it over.
Yeah, you gotta flip it over side B. It's a record, too.
Yeah. And it's the 132-minute version, which I can't seem to find anywhere on DVD or Blu-ray.
Down. They, borderline censored.
Wow, there are 5 different versions.
Trek on up to LA, go to Amoeba on Sunset. You might find it there. Oh yeah, they got all kinds of shit there.
They also have censored the film on multiple occasions.
Oh no, absolutely.
They re-released the endings and changed the overall length, or added something, or took something.
There's a 142-minute version. There's a 132-minute version,
and there's 90 versions of Blade Runner.
90-minute version that was made for American television, where it's the dumbed-down version, where in the dream sequences they put a little cloud around it to let the audience know that it's a dream sequence. So. Is it real? but it was so cool to watch that film. I haven't seen that version in a good long time, and so it was fantastic to watch it in Laserdisc and just sit there and go, and that movie to me is pure genius. It's wonderful entertainment. Mm-hmm. It's really funny, but wow, it's powerful.
It's poignant.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the first time I was lucky enough to see it in the theater because It came out in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember the story, the studio was trying to shut it down because Terry Gilliam wouldn't change the ending. And it's not a happy ending. And so the studio shut it down, and they were canceling or they were preventing releases in cities all over the country. And for whatever reason, where I was, it was showing in a theater, and so I went to see it. And I mean, I just loved it. That's like, you know, if I could write a
I like
screenplay,
his style.
that
I like
would
his
be it.
style in the first place, but then also the film is just
So powerful. And the ending, I remember seeing this. There was a woman sitting a couple rows up in front of me,
deep chords.
and and the ending, you know, if you remember the story, where the actor's name, Jonathan Pryce.
Yes.
He's being tortured by Michael Palin from Monty Python.
Yeah.
And we have this huge sequence which is full of action and looks like he's being rescued, and Robert De Niro comes along and saves him. And then he turns into paper, and I mean, it just goes totally over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And amazing. But at the end of that whole sequence, it ends up with him, the main character, with the girl of his dreams, together in a little shack in a beautiful valley with a cow and a river, you know, and it looks like a happy ending. And if you don't kind of get what's going on, you might assume that's the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman in front of me did that, and I remember her laughing, and she said something like, "Oh, this is absurd, you know, what a ridiculous ending." And then the movie cuts right to
It's like inside a nuclear silo.
well, you know, the doctor.
And he does the slow walk up.
You realize that he's just been lobotomized, and the last 20 minutes of the movie that you watched are all in his mind as he goes mad, and that's the happy ending. And she burst into tears, and I was like, "Wow, that was awesome! That was beautiful. There was so much power in that moment, and it was just this woman, you know, who didn't get it, and then she got it.
She got it.
You know, and I went, wow, that's amazing.
Masterful artwork that is.
Oh, it's amazing. It's just fantastic.
Everything is. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Gilliam is amazing.
But yeah,
The Fisher King.
I'm still waiting for that.
His work.
He's supposed to be doing a Don Quixote film. It's been in production.
I think
it's actually been filmed finally.
Yeah,
but
there's something coming out.
I think it's in post. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I know he's been trying to do it for like at least 15 years.
I think the name of the movie now is something like The Man Who Killed Don.
Yeah, I think
The
The
Man
Man Who
Who
Killed Don Quixote.
Don
Yeah.
Quixote. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's a documentary or if it's.
I almost want it to be more of a documentary about how the movie died.
Right. There is one that exists.
Mhm.
I haven't seen it, but I heard it was pretty remarkable, just because the real story was way more entertaining than the film.
Film would ever be. Yeah.
That.
It's funny how you get these stories about films that are almost better than the film itself.
Oh,
like
yeah.
The Making of Psycho is almost just as good as the film itself, and how the shit he went through from the studio, and how they wouldn't want to do it, and they wanted to censor it, and this and that, and the backing of his wife, and his wife supporting him because he wasn't going to do it, and like he had to mortgage his house to get the funding for the.
That's Alfred Hitchcock.
Alfred Hitchcock,
Wow.
yeah. He had to kind of mortgage his house again to get the funding for Psycho, and at the end, the whole speech the psychiatrist has about Norman, the studio was fine with it, but they wanted to cut out the word transvestite because again, this the '60s is taboo, very taboo subject at the time.
Sure.
So they wanted that cut out. They were fine with everything else, and he had he shot the film black and white to keep it cheap. He used his crew from the TV show Alfred Hitchcock Presents to keep the budget down, and then he used the black and white so we could get away with more of the gore, because it's black and white. You can't really see it, so it's your mind, your imagination, and it's powerful stuff. And just hearing about it, just reading about it, and the shit he would do to be. He had this very dark, witty sense of humor, very dark man, but very funny man.
Yeah.
But it's just wonderful to hear and read about. And there's a documentary even just about the cutting of the shower scene. I think it's called like 5972. It's like 5972, like 59 edits, 72 cuts, something like that.
Right.
Yeah, about just the shower scene.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. The stuff I've read. I've fallen in love almost more with documentaries now about films and about shit that people don't think about than I have with the film topic itself.
No. Have you seen the documentary about The Shining, about all the conspiracy theories?
237?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
I mean, there's some totally crazy stuff in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
You know, where it's clearly just people being bonkers, but there are still some pretty strong arguments for some of the other stuff that they argue Kubrick did. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
The whole torturing of Shelley Duvall and the shit he put her through, and she had breakdowns like almost weekly on the set with him harassing her and belittling her and berating her. It's like, wow, like you almost couldn't. Again, with the current state of it now with film, where you gotta be tolerant, you can't be mean, you gotta be nice. You couldn't get away with that now. He would have been, lampooned and lynched for boycotted, and you can't make a film ever again. It's a terrible director. He's bad to his cast.
He punished her. He did. He punished her.
Yeah.
But what a performance he got out of her.
What you got out of it,
which is what
you got to go through some shit to
his
get
goal,
something good.
His goal was to get an incredible performance out of it.
Yeah.
And when she loses it at the end, or she's just freaking out. I mean, that's all
you believe
real.
it. You totally believe it.
It's really real.
Yeah.
I mean, she's really freaking out.
Yeah.
I mean, I know she's acting, but it's all.
It's coming from somewhere
somewhere
very real, very
real,
close.
Yeah.
It's inspired by something.
Something, Kubrick. Who's the devil.
He's Richard Wagner. He's Richard Wagner's a composer who was totally nuts, and he would have sex with anything that moved, and he totally took over 100% control of opera.
Yeah, Wagner in Germany.
In Germany.
Yes. Yeah.
And so he's the first major composer to do the blocking, to do set design, to write the script, to write all of the music, and he threw it out multiple occasions. And fired people, but he was the one creative mastermind that totally changed production.
Absolute power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, big fat anti-Semite too. That was Wagner.
He had
some beautiful music.
So many problems. I'd say that one's one of his okay, I could understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Although drug addictions, alcoholism.
Hitler
infidelity.
Hitler loved Wagner.
I wonder why.
I wonder why.
His music's phenomenal.
It is.
Some of the best music ever. People claim.
It is.
He did a couple things where it just changed music forever.
Yeah, no, he was a.
There are specific chords we can say no one's ever done this until him. And it's brilliant, but they're totally nuts.
That's the world in which we live, my friend.
Yeah. I'll be nuts too, I guess, in some way.
It's sad that you can look at something great like that, but then, especially again now with the way people are, they're going to highlight the negative. Great music. Oh, but he was racist, so we can't like that shit.
I mean, he really was.
Yeah, he was. But I mean, I'm not going to judge a person's
But it is beautiful
art
music.
based on what he is.
Yeah.
We all have demons and negative qualities of ourselves, whether we let them show or not, or they're found out. And that's kind of the good and bad of everything nowadays seems to be, let's debunk history and let's show the truth of it. And it's good to have the truth, but then all you do is highlight it.
The people who are saying things right now are the people who are upset.
Yeah.
The people who are content, the people who are accepting. They're not saying anything because they're not upset about anything. The people who are upset are up in arms and they're standing up, they're posting, and they're commenting on your video, and they're commenting on your script. But the people who enjoy it go, "Wow, that was nice. I thought that was nice," and then they live the rest of their life.
Yeah, we move on.
And then you don't hear their feedback, and you don't hear their perspective. But there's the silent many people out there.
Yeah, well, if some of my work gets out there at some point, gets produced, there are going to be people boycotting and
I hope so.
picketing.
You're doing it right.
There just will be.
You only take flack when you're over the target.
Yeah, no. But I mean, it's.
But you also take flack when it's actually pushing a boundary and actually showing something that's true.
You're over the target.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I am a provocateur for sure.
We don't like to see the bad of ourselves, and when someone shows it to us in the purest form, and even in a most entertaining way, we're like, "Fuck, They're right, so fuck this guy.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens.
Well, where can people find you?
Heath
If I want to read your stuff,
HeathHouseman.com.
HeathHouseman.com.
Yep.
That's the only place you're gonna find them.
That's the only place you're gonna find.
There is no social media here. Fuck that shit.
You can go to Heartland Plays Incorporated. You can read some of my plays, some of my published plays, and that's about it. So
We're trying to work on it.
We are. Every day.
But I throw out some ideas, like how can we get... I don't know if y'all saw The Incredibles 2.
I did.
There's this great line where the villain says, "You don't talk, you watch talk shows. You don't play games, you watch game shows." And that hit me. I was like, oh, why don't we just film us reading some things so people can listen to it? Because people aren't going to go... in this age, people don't read as much as we used to.
No.
And there are people within the niche who definitely go out and they look to read scripts and they look to read up and coming things. And there are people where that's their job. People send them stuff all the time. But for everyone else who might really enjoy it, we might just record a few minutes at a time, like a bit of the script.
First taste is free. You gotta
And
You gotta pay to see the rest.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
No, so here's 5 minutes. Here's an okay 5 minutes. It's not the best 5 minutes. This is just how the script reads.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk with the guy who wrote it. We're gonna mix some jokes.
Don't give me ideas, Sawyer, because I'm gonna find actors who are gonna read his fucking plays on here, and then makes people. We're gonna take everyone else to the bar and make you pay to see the rest of it.
Challenge you.
You're giving me
that
ideas.
sounds awesome.
You're giving me ideas now.
I challenge
Because they've been doing that actually for
I challenge
I'm
you.
trying to end the damn show. You keep giving me fucking ideas.
I have that.
Jason Reitman was for a while. I don't know if he's still doing it, but he would do script readings.
Yeah.
Where he would pull, let's say, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And then bring a cast of people you never really think of, and have them read the script like a play.
Yeah.
Or he did Star Wars. He did Empire Strikes Back,
It's
and
fun.
pulled a
Readings
cast of
are
like
great.
10 people
It's so
and
fun.
read the script. I was like, that's the way to do it. Under budget, and still get it out there.
Still get it out there. Absolutely. Yeah.
And even I remember last show we talked about taking some of your ideas and pitching it even as a graphic novel or as a comic.
Yeah. Killing Santa would make a great
Yes.
graphic novel. Really
Great comic. Wow.
Yeah, it would.
Because then you still get the visual. You get the visual element still with the words, and even the words of description.
Yeah.
I get the whole image.
Yeah. Killing Santa would be great. I just entered a contest for it. It will go to the Austin Film Festival if it places, but it's a table read my screenplay, and I put Killing Santa in there, and if it goes anywhere, they take it to the Austin Film Festival and they do a table read with actors and an audience, so I sit there and listen to the script, at least the first 20 pages.
Great.
But I did a reading of it in Gunnison at Western State College, or Western State Colorado University, as it's now called, my old alma mater, and I didn't read the whole script. We did 30 minutes of it, but it was great. It was great. And professional comedy improv actors read, and it was very funny and moving, and the audience loved it.
Yeah.
So if we could just maybe
Let's find some friends. Read some scripts.
yeah, we can do that.
Damn you, Sawyer. Put ideas in people's heads. Sawyer, where can we find you? If I want to hear you play some jazz.
Jazz comes up in the semester. I don't have any private jazz bands, but I play on campus.
Okay.
And I've got one more semester at this school I'm attending. That's Grossmont College in San Diego. I play in the jazz big band ensemble, and they usually do 3 or 4 shows a semester. And then the jazz vocal ensemble, which usually does 12 to 16 shows per semester. And outside of there, I play with the Grateful Dads.
Yeah.
And that's a local classic rock and roll cover band with my former Little League coach and a bunch of dads in the neighborhood. And it's a lot of fun. I love playing with them. We do a lot of charity events, fundraisers, high school charity events, things like that. We did the Relay for Life, which is a big cancer awareness fundraising event that they do all over the world. And one day it's a 24-hour walk So you can go to the different areas. All the big major cities have one, and you can like sponsor a team and walk. And so we had the pleasure of being able to be one of the bands and entertain the walkers for 2 hours. That was a lot of fun. But I think my favorite project right now is BJ and the Biz, and it's just a 3-piece bass, drums, guitar, and all of us take turns singing, or we all sing at the same time, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't ever know what we're doing, but we'll do it. We like to take requests or play song roulette, where we swipe down the iPad playlist of songs we have and pick a random one and just play it. But we play at the Blondie Stone and Claremont in San Diego a couple times a month, and it's fun. I have a good time. Seems people have a good time.
Yes, they
the
do.
energy's good. The crowd's good. I like the bar. The bar's a great venue.
It is a good time.
It
It's
is
a
a
great
good
time.
time. Well, this has been a fun show. We've, again, painted the palette or drove all over the road with our topics. Jesus. It was fun. I'm so glad. I was really surprised and excited that Sawyer said you wanted to do another one. I was like, all right. Well, let's just find the time. I know we kind of missed a couple dates here and there, but we finally found the day.
It's all good.
We had some good laughs. We got a little deep and a little political and racist and all kinds of good stuff. So, this has been fun. This has been the CineMunn podcast. You can find us on Instagram at CineMunn. You can find us here on YouTube, youtube.com/CineMunn podcast. And you can find us on Facebook. And we'll be posting some more news about Comic-Con and hopefully getting Heath back again. And because of Sawyer's mouth giving ideas right here at the end, we will hopefully put together a nice little crew and maybe do some live reading or even some just recorded reading. We just get a group of people, get a couple more microphones in here, just record and just read like 10 minutes of one of your shows just to get it out there. And yeah, first taste is free. You got to pay to see the rest. So
You gotta buy the script.
we're artists. We're starving
If you like
artists.
it,
So you got
If you like it, you have to
if
buy
you like
the
it, you
script.
got to buy the script.
It's
So
right.
that's you're gonna know we're having one script because you hear deep pauses between every line. And this has been another CineMunn podcast. I am your host, Vince Munn.